early today by video.
Let's finish this job. I know we can.
Arguing there's still a battle for the soul of the nation. Now he's giving his first speech.
Thank you. I think I'll stop right.
Okay, today's YouTube live chat poll is asking, can Joe Biden win a second term, yes or no? That's pretty interesting. At 12:25, Adrian Norman, he is the staff writer for Timecast. He is going to be joining us.
Timcast.
Oh, sorry, Timcast. My bad.
Close.
Adrian Norman is the staff writer for Timcast. He will be joining us at 12:25. New guest on our show.
He's been on.
Oh,
He's been on probably before you were here, though.
Yeah, that was
new guest
free.
for Hannah.
That's free.
I have not seen him or heard him before. I'm excited to.
He's great.
See him at 12:25. Wiggins, you can talk about what you want to do.
Yeah, Wiggins America is about a bill that has bipartisan support. So my guess is that it has a very good chance of passing regarding kids' access to social media. I'm going to ask you about that question too when time comes, so be ready.
Oh boy. Okay, and at 1:05, Jim Carafano is going to join us. He is with us every Tuesday. He is the Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at the Heritage Foundation. He is great. He will
Talking
be at
about
1:05.
Sudan, that's a story that's been sort of happening in the background of everything else that's happening, but is kind of a big deal. So,
I'm excited to have him kind of break that down because I don't know a ton
I
about
am
that situation.
I am too.
So that will be at 1:05. And at the end of the show, I will give you guys the YouTube poll results. Once again, the YouTube poll is asking, can Joe Biden win a second term, yes or no? If you guys aren't really familiar with the YouTube poll, we do one every single day. You can find it on our Annie Frey Show YouTube page at Annie Frey. And you go to the live chat portion of the stream and you can vote on it. And then if you would like to leave a comment, you can do that in the live stream portion as well. I feature some comments at 2:45 and we talk about it. And yeah.
Yeah, and if you're watching on a different platform other than YouTube right now, the link to the YouTube stream should be in the description of the video that you're watching. So if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, the link will be there for you. So go ahead and check it out and pop over, even if it's just for a second, to vote in that stream and leave a comment, and then you can go back to your preferred platform.
So yeah, that's what we have in store today. 12:25, Adrian Norman, Wiggins America over age limits for social media at 12:45, Jim Carafano at 1:05, and our poll results at 2:45.
All right.
Behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
Worldwide Technology, recognized as a great place to work for 12 years in a row, is hosting a supply chain career event on April 29th at their North American Integration Center in Edwardsville, Illinois, to connect with skilled professionals in the technology production and supply chain industries to fill dozens of roles. Positions include warehouse specialists and managers, production supervisors, configuration techs, and more. These jobs come with competitive pay, industry-leading benefits that even include your pets, and an award-winning culture with career development that gives you options to grow. Learn more and apply online at wwt.com/careers.
Air Comfort Service, online at aircomfortservice.com. You can call them to schedule a maintenance checkup appointment on your HVAC system, 314-513-0091. The trees are blooming, flowers are flowering, allergens are all over the place in the air. I definitely have seen this with the kids and the husband in my house who have allergies. You might not be able to do anything to stop those allergens from hitting us in the spring here in the Midwest. It's like one of the worst places possible. But you can do something about your indoor allergens. Corey and the team at Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation have a variety of indoor air quality products to make your home even more comfortable. You want it to be a safe place for you to go in and breathe freely. You can call them for a free estimate on a whole whole home air purifier that can help relieve or eliminate allergy symptoms, pet dander, bacteria, viruses, odors, and more. If you have any indoor air quality or HVAC concerns for your home or for your business, contact Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. Let's vote for Ophthalmology Associates as best laser eye treatment in St. Louis Magazine's A-List competition. Online at stlmag.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we still are. The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too. This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election. Because I know America.
So there's the president of the United States, Joe Biden, announcing officially he is running for re-election. Brad, how many times have we run polls on this show? Will Joe Biden run for re-election? Will he go for a second term?
Lots.
It's been
lots
frequent.
and lots.
I was usually a no on that. I didn't think it would be possible. I was wrong. He's in there. He's running. And you have to ask yourself, do the Democrats want this? Is this their best shot? Does the idea of having Gavin Newsom come in from California run for the nomination because Joe Biden steps aside, does that get the Democrats excited? Here's the thing that's the most surprising to me. Kamala Harris is part of the ticket, right? It's Biden-Harris 2.0.
As far as I know, I haven't seen the official ticket, but she's all over that video.
Yeah, she's there. She's a part of it. I'd say, to me, that's one of the biggest detriments to the potential for his reelection is the idea that she's going to come along. But he backed himself into his own corner by saying during the first run that he was going to pick a woman of color, and then I guess she was just at the top of the list. I don't know why he didn't just pick a woman of color. Why did he preface it like he was surveying the country for women of color and he would choose one?
It's like he was looking at a focus group going, I'm going to choose a woman of color. Yes. A woman of color.
And then Kamala Harris, who had previously gotten to a spat of some sort at a debate with Joe Biden, where she was essentially calling him racist. That's strange bedfellows in Washington, D.C. Today's YouTube live chat poll is, can Joe Biden win a second term? Not will. Can he? Yes or no? You got one way or the other. It's not who's he running against. It's can he win? Because you first have to answer the question, can Joe Biden win again? Because if the answer is no, Joe Biden can't win again, then I guess we're done here. And, Donald Trump 2.0 or whomever it might be, Asa Hutchinson, going in for the lead, doubtful. Can Joe Biden win a second term? If you go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel in the live chat portion, you can vote there, yes or no. What do you think, Brad?
I think he absolutely can win. I think it depends on who he runs against, but I definitely think that he can win. And we're not saying who he could run against. So if it's Trump-Biden, I think that Biden could actually absolutely beat Trump. So, yeah.
I also think that Biden might be the only person Trump can beat.
This is entirely true.
Is that not weird?
It's kind of like high fastballs to a high fastball hitter. You're either going to hit it out of the park or you're going to swing right through it.
Yeah. I think about Donald Trump at his rallies, the way he would talk about in going into the 2020 election, and over and over and over again, listening to Donald Trump talk about how embarrassing it would be to lose to Joe Biden.
Mm.
You don't really put those things out there and speak that way if you think you're actually going to lose to Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why anybody would look at the 2024 election and think that because Joe Biden is 80 years old, he's going to be, 86 if he were to finish his second term? Oh, my gosh. High five to all the 86-year-olds out there. Nothing against you. Do you want to run the country? Can you? I always think about Brit Hume when he would go on Fox and talk about his comparison to his advanced age. I mean, he would talk about it. He's like, listen, I'm still sharp. I still have my wits about me. He goes, but I'm not as quick as I used to be. I'm not as, I don't have as much endurance as I used to have. That's just the truth. That's just the nature. That's the science, folks. That's the way. Come on, man. I do not want to underestimate Joe Biden, because if Joe Biden is the alternative to something that people detest, then everything is in play. If Donald Trump is able to come out and figure out a way to consolidate the right, because he does not have a consensus on the right. He has the strongest base on the right, no doubt about it. And I wouldn't even say that I'm not part of that base. I am A-okay with voting for Donald Trump over any Democrat in the general election. I think Donald Trump would be a good president again. I just want to make sure that he can get there. Get across the finish line. The 2020 election loss was such a tough pill to swallow. And it wasn't like you took your loss, you went home, you thought about it for a few days, and then you kind of worked to get over it. It went for months. Months. And then after Joe Biden was inaugurated, it went for months on after that. That was very difficult for people in this country who knew that the direction Joe Biden was going to take the country was the antithesis of the way they wanted the country to go. Regardless of, on a scale of 1 to 10, how MAGA are you? There are people who do not want to see Joe Biden win the next election who are going to have to ask themselves, can I vote for Donald Trump? I want you to understand and focus on the policies and the successes that Donald Trump had when he was in office. There are so many of them. Especially considering the attacks he was under, the scrutiny he was under, that was completely and totally biased from the dark corners of Washington, D.C. to the bright lights of the mainstream media. He did not have a fair fight at all. But if you don't think that the next fight is going to feel more fair, if you think the next fight is going to be even keel, it absolutely isn't. They're going to double down on every dirty trick that they can muster. They're going to throw indictments after him. The Georgia case is supposed to come down in summer, which when I saw that from CNN last night, I could only think of Olaf singing "In Summer," and it made my mood lighten just a little bit. There are going to be multiple cases that are going to come into the American, the center of the American eye. And the whole purpose behind this is to make sure that anybody who ever questioned Donald Trump before, but also said, man, and I'm quoting a hyper Democrat friend of mine who I love dearly more than any political point that we disagree on ever, and that will be forever and ever, amen. The politics that we disagree on have nothing to do with our care and concern for one another, which in my opinion is the way it should be. I would get messages from this friend. Oh, I hate to say it, but my 401k is looking pretty good. And we haven't lived in an economy that was this successful. Just constant reminders, unsolicited, from a person who is near and dear to me on the left, who still detested Donald Trump. I don't think he or would ever have voted for Donald Trump. I don't think he'll vote for him again. I don't know that he would vote for Joe Biden again, but there was an understanding, because he's an intellectual, that the things that were happening in this country under Donald Trump up until COVID were fantastic for the economy. There are people who know that, but they have to ask themselves, how am I going to put the check next to Donald Trump's name on a ballot? Donald Trump has to answer that question for those people. And it is not enough to talk about the disaster that Joe Biden has been. It's not enough. People are out there saying, "Oh, Joe Biden has a record now, though. He was supposed to be the uniter out there, but now he's got a record." These people don't care about Joe Biden's record. They don't care. It is enough to say, who's the other guy? Donald Trump. Joe Biden's got my vote. Brad, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter yesterday. I don't remember who tweeted it, but I think it was a pulled from TikTok video on Twitter. And it was a guy who was, I don't know for the life of me why these young people do this to themselves, but they video themselves. And he was saying, guess who just got done paying 18 months of their 36-month car lease and found out that I have to give the car back after the lease is over?
Oh, no.
18 months.
Oh, my
This dude
gosh.
is well into voting age. So if you think that people are going to sit down and be like, do you want the socialism that Joe Biden is implementing in this country to continue? You gotta,
Yeah.
Brad always says, put the cookies on the bottom shelf.
Yeah.
You have to understand that there are people out that just get a surface level of information. They vote with their feelings, not with their head. They don't care. They might not even show up to vote, but the younger they are, the more likely they are to vote for the left. It doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or Tim Scott or Ron DeSantis or Asa Hutchinson or who else is running? Is there anybody else in? Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley. It doesn't matter if any of those individuals are challenging Joe Biden. We have to get back to the idea that the Republicans and conservatism, and I'm talking real conservatism, not big government conservatism, that conservatism has great ideas for the country that rest on the power and the influence of the American people, not the subjugation to the American government. That is a strong message. You want to reach young people? You want to talk to young people about independence and freedom? You have to figure out a way to deliver that message to people that creates a strong alternative to what the Democrats, the young Democrats in this country, automatically assume by default what it means to be a conservative Republican. You didn't pull any Rachel Maddow from last night. You might have broken your computer if you did. I tuned in last night to watch Rachel Maddow's Open. I tuned in at 7 o'clock to see what happened on Tucker's show. Brian Kilmeade was there. He spent maybe 20 seconds saying, by now you've likely heard Tucker Carlson has parted ways. Tucker Carlson, Fox News have parted ways. He said something to the effect of, he loves Tucker, he's very good friends with Tucker, and he wishes Tucker nothing but the best. That is an incredibly difficult position for Brian Kilmeade to be in. People might see that and go, shame on Brian Kilmeade. He shouldn't. It's just not the way it works, folks. It isn't the way it works. I tuned into CNN. You know what CNN was talking about at 7 o'clock? The fact that one of the officers in the Breonna Taylor case has gotten a new job. And I'm like, slow news day, huh?
Uh-huh.
And then I turned over to MSNBC because I wanted to see Rachel Maddow on MSNBC sitting, hosting a show, knowing that it had to have put the biggest smile on her face to see Tucker Carlson no longer with Fox, like the biggest smile. And if you think that that's just a mean dig at somebody, understand that like the Gutfeld show is still making Brian Stelter and Cuomo jokes on a regular basis. So this is just the way the industry is. But there's no way that Rachel Maddow was going to open this show, because from what I understand, she doesn't even do a nightly show.
Mm-mm.
She's just kind of like a sabbatical nighttime primetime host. It's pretty amazing. Nice gig. How do I get one of those? And I mean, I really want you to suffer through the first 10 minutes of her show, if you can find it. She went back to the 1930s. And Rachel Maddow was talking about some fringe conservative who ran for president in the 1930s, who was partnered with, at an event, I think in Chicago, with a very influential Catholic priest who also had a radio show. It's a conservative radio show host. And the influence that this man had over the masses, I think the guy's name was Lemke, who was running for president. He got less than 2%. She kept hammering that. This guy got less than 2%. How does a guy who gets less than 2% of the vote for president turn out like, 100,000 people at a rally? And her point was the influence of this radio personality was able to bring out all of these people because they were there to see him, not the candidate. And she walks through from this guy Lemke. She even says at one point, she's like, do you know who I'm talking about? And then she gives the name. She's like, you probably don't. And I'm like, well, why are you starting your show with this guy? Like, if your whole point is that there's so much prominence here, oh, by the way, you might not know what these names are. Okay, whatever, Rachel Maddow. She goes into Rush Limbaugh. She goes into Glenn Beck. She goes into eventually Tucker Carlson. But it took her over 10 minutes to mention Tucker Carlson's name. And what I surmised from that 10 minutes, it almost seemed like she had so much excitement and emotion in her that I've done this before. I'm trying to make a point, and I know my point is really good in my head. And it's just, sometimes it just doesn't come out the way I want it to. And she was so passionately and emotionally involved in the point she was trying to make. And the point she's trying to make is these people are there and highly influential until they aren't. And one comes after the other, until they aren't there anymore. And her point also included the idea that with each new successor to this peak of influence among conservative media, which she mentioned is a highly lucrative business, and liberal media has never had the success that conservative media has had. She said with each sequential person, that influence has shrunk a little bit, and it's gotten smaller, and it will never be as big as it has been before. This is coming from a person who is on a network that reaches so few people, it's questionable how they can even function financially at MSNBC. Her point in explaining the waning influence of these massive influencers in conservative media was to say that what they're selling, people aren't buying anymore. What she fails to mention is conservative media isn't relegated to just a couple of points. Radio was the only thing in the game in the 1930s. Of course, there was massive influence there. You go all the way to Tucker Carlson and you look that he's getting 3 million people a night, 2.7 million, I think, on his last show on a Friday night. And his influence is still massive. But it was an opportunity for her to dunk on it. And the whole time she's doing this, she's assuming that you, who's listening to a very, very exponentially tiny corner of conservative media right now with the Annie Frey Show, you'll wise up to. You're sitting here listening to me because you need something that I have to provide for you, which is some sort of affirmation that you're not using your own brain cells to think for yourself. These people think that you are the dumbest box of rocks in the game. That's what we're competing with. Those media personalities see themselves as some sort of elevated elitist entity, and they're using it against you. I will never do that for you here. The conservative empire of media is so broad and so dynamic and so diverse right now that, of course, it's not going to be consolidated in one personality on one radio show as it would have been in the 1930s. We're going to talk to one of those individuals when we come back. Adrian Norman joins us. He's a staff writer for Timcast. A lot of you folks out there very familiar with Timcast. He's an author, he's a columnist, he's a commentator, and a friend of the Annie Frey Show. We're going to talk to him about that socialistic mortgage lending that's going on that we talked to Stewie about last week. And we're also going to talk to him about an 80-minute special that he's created called Smoke and Mirrors, Ending Hip-Hop Shootings and Violence in the Black Community. Get on the Annie Frey YouTube channel right now. Watch with us, talk with us. We'll be back in a minute.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
Try to flag her out.
So myslim180.com is a website that you can go to learn about the Slim 180 plan for your weight loss. Getting healthy, getting in shape is something a lot of people are thinking about right now. A lot of people have put on weight over the last few years, and they're looking to take it off. Now, I could talk to you about being swimsuit ready. I could talk to you about wanting to, feel good in your clothes, but isn't it about being healthy? Isn't it about getting yourself to a weight where you can become active again, where your joints don't ache, where you feel like you can get up out of bed in the morning and not have to go through a whole mental pep talk to do it because it's going to cause your body to ache? If you sign up at Slim 180, you are going to be on the fast track to losing weight and getting yourself back to being healthy again. They have multiple programs to help you. The Regenerate program with the semaglutide, where you can get that at My Slim 180, is a very popular weight loss drug right now. You can get it much more reasonably priced than you can at a pharmacy. You can also do their Crave program, which helps curb your appetite for better success in weight loss. And they have a nutritional guidance program, which provides one-on-one counseling, individualized attention to your needs that will help you reach your goals. Find out all the information you need to know, plus mention Annie and save when you go to myslim180.com.
Hit high and deep to right. He did it. Carlson hits it off the scoreboard.
The Cardinals host the Tigers the weekend of May 5th through the 7th. And on Friday night, 25,000 fans aged 16 and older will take home a Cardinals belt bag courtesy of Mercy. This gray bag features a navy strap, silver metal logo on the front, and other upgraded components. Get your fanny to the ballpark. That's Friday, May the 5th. The Cardinals, the Tigers, and the belt bag.
This is Dylan Carlson. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com.
A swing and a miss. 9 pitches, 9 strikes for Helsley.
On Saturday, May 6th, the Cardinals host the Detroit Tigers. The Tigers will be the only felines in the stadium because that day is the 18th annual Pooches in the Ballpark Day. 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will receive the first Cardinals bobblehead featuring closer Ryan Helsley and his adorable pup Major, courtesy of Purina. That's Saturday, May 6th, the Cardinals, the Tigers, and the Helsley Major bobblehead.
This is Ryan Helsley. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com.
Are you thankful for the first responders in your community? Then nominate a local department and let us feed them a great meal. Compliments of Grill Master Tony Stone. Mark Cox here. Visit 971talk.com/contests and nominate someone today. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Mark my words, when we look to the future and there's a new housing crisis and there's a new default, it is his actions, but it goes to something much deeper. It's a socialist belief that you reward bad behavior. So what does it tell the American public? First of all, there's no consequences for crime anymore. Secondly, you know what? Don't pay your bills because you get rewarded. Third, don't pay back your student loans even though you signed the paper and you said you would do it because you wanted an education. Somebody else will pay that for you.
So there's a Speaker of the House talking about what we discussed with our friend and sponsor, Stewie, with Stewart's American Mortgage on Friday. And I got so much feedback from that interview. The socialist nature of lending, the better your credit score, the more likely you're going to have to pay an extra fee to subsidize those who have a lower credit score. It makes people crazy when they sit down and think about what exactly is going on here. And I wanted to hit this conversation again with my friend Adrian Norman. He's a staff writer at Timcast. He's also an author, a columnist, and a commentator. Adrian, welcome back to the show. Good to have you here to talk about this issue.
Annie, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. Now, you have experience in mortgage lending, too, and you're not in the area here. But what do you want people to understand about what this administration has chosen to do for those who have worked really hard to get their credit scores up to a really great place?
This policy should be taken with great offense to all Americans. I mean, it's what I've termed for a while this Robin Hood economics that a lot of people on the left try to push, which is, again, it's stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, taking from people who produce and giving it to people who don't. And in this case, punishing people who have made the right financial decisions and have worked hard to put themselves and their families in the right position to help people who haven't. And I understand the desire to want to help people on the lower end of the economic ladder. However, what we can't do is subsidize bad behavior. And the thing with the mortgages, and again, I do have a number of years experience on the sales side, so I get this process and the underwriting guidelines and how all of this works. The thing is, this isn't like other programs where you're helping somebody who just ended up in a bad situation. If you have a lower credit score, it's because of decisions that you made. No one forced you to take out an application for a credit card. No one forced you to take out an application for a loan. No one forced you to put charges on that card. No one forced you to not pay your bills. Those are the major things that are determining what your score is, right? You have a low credit score because of decisions that you made, and in many cases, irresponsibility regarding those decisions. And those are things that other people should not have to subsidize. And people with higher credit scores who have done the right thing shouldn't be forced to pay a higher mortgage insurance premium, which means higher costs over the life of the loan, to pay for mistakes that other people willingly chose to make.
Adrian, when you're seeing these types of policies, these are very bold policies coming out of this administration. Do voters, when they see these types of things, should they attach it directly to the president? Is it directly to the Democratic Party? Where do these ideas come from?
Well, this is a policy priority that comes straight from the White House. I mean, it's something that's pushed by them. So obviously the buck has to stop with the Biden White House and his administration on this. This isn't something that we saw during the Trump administration. This isn't even something that we saw during the Obama administration. This is a continuation of what really has become sort of a much more radical presidency than was promised before the election, when he campaigned against President Trump as a moderate that was going to bring some sense of normalcy back to the United States. It's been the complete opposite. He's been pandering to the radical left and these progressives who sort of enacted these types of promises in order to gain their support prior to the last election.
Yeah. So Joe Biden announces today officially that he and Kamala Harris are running for re-election. So I guess if you like these types of policies, you can get 4 more years of the same. What was your reaction to his announcement?
You know, I don't think anybody was surprised. I mean, he can't not announce. I mean, they able to make him a lame duck president in his first term with, 2 years left. So it wasn't surprising. But the way he rolled out the ad, I took a look at the ad this morning, and honestly, it kind of angered me a little bit because he didn't address anything of substance. This was a very, first of all, it's a sign that he's going to, well, let me back up. He made the announcement over video. Mm-hmm. It wasn't an actual speech with a crowd and lights and cameras and a stage adorned with American flags. This guy's going to campaign from his basement, just like he did in 2020. They released it in highly edited video in the style of Barack Obama, the type of ads that he put out when he was running. So I'm really curious as to who had a hand in designing this particular spot. It was a great ad, but it didn't touch on anything of any substance. It didn't address any of his policy issues or failures. Didn't say what he was going to do as far as making American lives better. It's just this pandering that he's done for the last couple of years. We've seen this guy has a 2-year record, right? This campaign ad would be great for somebody who is a first-term candidate who hasn't served in office yet. But Biden has a record. And he didn't touch on anything that involves his record. Nothing on immigration, nothing on inflation, nothing on lower costs for everyday Americans, nothing on the Ukraine war with Russia, nothing about Nord Stream 2, nothing about any of the things that voters have a right to have questions answered prior to casting a ballot for this guy for a second term in office. It's a slap in the face to every single American and shows that he does not care about the American people. In addressing any real concerns, and he thinks we're dumb enough to be able to look at this type of ad and want to just put him right back in office.
Yeah, and there's so much tribalism that's involved in that too, because if divisive politics is the way that Joe Biden is going to win this election, maybe it is the way that he can win this election. He came out in his last campaign about talking about unity. There's a lot of that, he'll be the adult in the room once again. And people put him out there. His inauguration speech was about unity. And he's been incredibly divisive with the entire presidency that he's had so far, that I would have to think that the way for him to get the White House again would be continue to make people not think about their vote, but just feel very tribal about it and say, I got to vote for this guy because I can't let the other team win.
Well, what's interesting about this, though, is that, new polls have come out just this week showing that 70% of Americans don't want him to run and 60% don't want Trump to run. So in the head-to-head matchup with DeSantis, Biden loses. In the head-to-head matchup with Trump right now, he would win. But overall, voters are not happy with his administration. He doesn't really have a mandate to govern per se. It's more so, I think, just looking at some of the polling data, voters being concerned over the hysteria with what another Trump presidency could bring, even though the policies would be substantially better.
So, Adrian, I want to talk a little bit about this this documentary that you've put out here. It's an 80-minute special, and you've used this as an opportunity to examine the issue of violence in the Black community. It's called Smoke and Mirrors, Ending Hip-Hop Shootings and Violence in the Black Community, and you've partnered with a lot of people that many listeners here probably are familiar with, like Zuby, Delano Squires, Maj Touré, Sonny Johnson, Megan McLover, Jeff Charles, and Rachel Ferguson. What did you put into this effort? What's the end result that you want people to come away with when they watch this 80-minute special they can see on YouTube and Rumble?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing it up. It was a cool project. This came about shortly after the death of Takeoff. He was a rapper with Migos. He was killed last year in a part of gun violence. It doesn't look like it was intentional, but I wanted to use it to underscore the problem that we have within the industry and within Black communities of gun violence. This is something that we've seen over the years, and I think something like 60 or so rappers or so have been killed over the last 20 years, very high-profile stuff. And it's something that just keeps happening over and over again. So I wanted to sort of tackle that and get with some people who are intellectuals and have some thoughts on what's happening with just violence in general and some experience in urban areas and get their perspective on what's happening and more so what we can do to solve it. And it's a diverse panel. It's a panel of people who would not necessarily agree 100% with each other on any particular issue, but everybody provided so much important context on what's happening in these communities and the not just how to fix it, but how we got there and taking a comprehensive look on what we can do to be able to move forward. And I do believe that these problems are resolvable. It's just going to take a lot of honest conversation and feedback and people willing to do the hard work, which begins with sitting down and having an honest conversation about what the core issues are.
All right. Well, Adrian, I want you to tell people, obviously, I said it's called Smoke and Mirrors. Is it just on YouTube and Rumble, or where's the best place for them to consume it, and how can they connect with you?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you want to check out the special, it is on YouTube. It is also on Rumble. Those are the only places that currently. I would very much appreciate your support on that. It was a lot of work, and there's a lot of good information in it, and I think it'll be eye-opening for a lot of people.
For sure, and it's important that people go and check this out. It's great work that you've done, Adrian. We appreciate your time today, and we look forward to having you back to follow up on this and this election cycle as it is kicked off with the president's rerunning for the office again. I can't even think of words these times. I'm so frustrated. Adrian.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
Yes,
right?
It is. Here we are again. It's just like there's a part in Jurassic Park where they fall out of the car and then they land back in the car and then they say, we're back in the car again. That's what I feel like. It's like we're being chased by T-Rexes, flying cars through trees, and we're back in the car again. It's unbelievable. Adrian, thank you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me, Annie.
Of course. Bye-bye. Adrian Norman is a staff writer at Timcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Adrian Norman DC. We're going to take a quick break. Wiggins America in studio. When we come back, he's going to talk about government regulations for kiddos on social media. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
PreventSprainSocks.com. When you are wanting to be active, if you are thinking about becoming active and you've had some ankle weakness, or you know that if you were going to pick up running again, or if you're somebody who plays pickleball all the time, you need the support on those ankles to make sure that you stay in the game. Working with Prevent Sprain Socks, having met the guy who's running the show, it is so great to hear the success that they have had nationwide with Olympic athletes, collegiate athletes, grade school athletes in my family. You slip these Prevent Sprain socks on your ankles and you immediately feel the support that you were lacking before with traditional socks. You cannot work or play with hurt ankles. It's going to slow you down, and who has time for that? I certainly don't. That's why I wear my Prevent Sprain socks when I am active, and I hope that you'll give them a chance to wow you the way that they did me as well. Invented by doctors and physical therapists at the University of Porto in Portugal. Check them out online and get your pair right away today. PreventSprainsocks.com.
Spring is a great time to get a hold of my friends at the Chesterfield Fence and Deck Company. Mark Cox here. For the month of April, you can get 48 months, zero financing at Chesterfield Fence and Deck on your next big project. Call them now, 636-532-4054. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. What are you in need of? You need a new fence? They've got beautiful cedar fences. They've got vinyl, low maintenance, lifetime fences. They've got aluminum as well. Their decks, they offer cedar and the Vecca Deck vinyl decking, which is maintenance free. You can't beat that. They take a lot of pride in their work at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Their pergolas, their sunrooms, whichever you pick, you can see it in person in their showroom in the Chesterfield Valley, just across from the outlet mall there off 109. Stop by and see them. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck today, 636-532-4054, or online at chesterfieldfence.com.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com, or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for their next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, May 16th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Seats are limited, so go online to retirementkey.com. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement and wondering if you can afford to retire? Or do you worry about surviving the next market crash? Did you know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free and protect your nest egg from many more losses and provide more income than most investment options? Would you like to know how linking to the market instead of owning the market is so much safer for your retirement savings? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you don't want to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Tuesday, May 16th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Celebrating 22 years as St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Thanks for being a part of it.
There's a long black train coming down.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Rails of sin, only evil remains. Watch out, brother, for that long black
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins!
Hello there.
Look to the head.
There we go.
He's great. Josh Turner's great.
Just leave it on.
Big fan.
Just leave it on. So looking at this bill that has been introduced now to the Senate, this is a soon-to-be unveiled Senate bill that would set an age minimum for kids on social media. There are states that have done this, but this is a federal bill. This is one of the first major bipartisan federal efforts to restrict access to the platforms altogether for younger users. So like I said, bipartisan, we're talking about people from both parties. Brian Schatz from Hawaii is a Democrat introducing this with Tom Cotton from Arkansas, Republican, of course, would make it, well, it would bar children under 13 from accessing social media at all and require parental consent for those aged 13 to 17.
Oh, wow.
It was not clear how they had said they would verify kids' ages, but that is all part of the bill, and I'm sure it's being worked out and talked about right now. Very good chance that this could pass, of course, with so much bipartisan support. I want to see what you guys think of the government stepping into this at a federal level.
What's social media?
That's a good question. I mean, they're talking about it in terms of Twitter, Facebook,
do they list them?
Instagram.
Or do they define it?
They haven't clearly defined that, but I think that's what's being talked about the most in terms of the article is, you know, the typical places that we talk about being social media. YouTube, Instagram.
These social media sites have age limits already, and they can't enforce them. I mean, it's just a click of, yeah, I'm over that age, for sure, totally. And then they've got a social media site. Isn't it like 13 on Facebook or something like that? And there are tons of kids out there that have them.
Right.
So what do you do? I mean, what is Facebook supposed to do in that situation? How much can they enforce this?
What does the bill say happens if you break that law?
It's not clear yet. This is what they're saying is that they haven't clearly defined how they're going to enforce that law. But the way they're going to do it is by pushing the companies themselves, of course, to have some sort of stronger verification, but it doesn't say what it is.
It's kind of hard for me to weigh in on, because I think that there needs to be regulation on it. But if I don't know what's involved and what the enforcement is and what the penalty is, it's hard for me to say.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the government, like this being a Senate bill. I don't know how I feel about that, the government being involved with how you parent. I don't know that I like that.
Conceptually, though, Annie, it sounds like what you're saying is you do support there being some sort of legislation for this as long as they can work it out right.
I don't think that I don't support legislation. I don't support going to legislation without a definitive problem that you're solving with a definitive solution. So since I know what the definitive problem is. I don't know what the definitive solution is that's being proposed here. So I'm not going to say yes or no to anything. I'm not going to be like, yeah, government should get in there and mix things up. That would be ridiculously stupid to say that. But the question of pushing this onto the companies, what's the difference between accessing a social media site and porn?
As far as the person accessing it goes, or legally?
A 13-year-old.
I mean, you can pretty much do it regardless. I mean,
Do what?
You can access it just as easily. There's not really any sort of
Is there a
mechanism.
regulation on that, on pornography?
I believe there is.
Why?
Why is there a regulation on it?
Yeah.
Because it's bad for kids.
No different to me than social media.
I agree. Doesn't it seem that there's some hypocrisy here if we have people from both parties, too, saying there are things that kids shouldn't be doing, but then they're fighting back on a lot of states that are trying to pass legislation that like Missouri is, that are saying you can't have kids choosing puberty blockers below 18 or having surgeries on themselves. I mean, it's amazing that this is bipartisan, and yet that issue is partisan. You're a lot closer to this age. What do you think about there even being limits? I mean, you're 21, Hannah. Being limits on kids being able to access this. Do you believe that you were more mature at these ages, or do you think there should be
I
limits?
think I was exposed to social media too young. I didn't understand. The first social media I got, I guess if you would consider this social media, was an email. And I remember getting it in like 5th grade.
Did you guys email each other?
Yeah, that was like a way we would.
Would you email like you would text each other?
Yeah, except we didn't have phones, so that was our communication was. And I remember some people were getting rid of their landlines, so that was our way to communicate, was email. And then that cascaded into me getting a Facebook, and I didn't have to have like
Were you 13?
signing up. Yeah, I was really young. My mom didn't understand Facebook, so she didn't see a problem with it because she didn't know what it was. I got one before she did. She had no idea. I did not know, so I signed up, and I didn't really, like, I was just friends with my family. My other friends, like, didn't have them either. I think I was, like, the first one to get it, and I was friends with, like, my older cousins and things like that. But I still think I shouldn't have had access that young. Social media now has transformed into something completely different. I also think a big part of it is that a lot of social media is linked. Now it's not just Facebook, it's Instagram too, and then it's integrated to all these other apps. So it's like if you have one, you have easy access to all the other things. Like if you get Facebook, you get Facebook Reels, which are those just imported from Facebook, or are they from everywhere? Do you guys know?
No, I don't know.
I don't know,
Probably
but
Instagram
I
too,
feel
since
like
they're owned by the same company.
feel like it is linked. So you're kind of just opening a Pandora's box at that moment. I think it would be good to have them implement some sort of parental, like add a parent's email here if you're not of age or something like that. But to ban it entirely, I don't agree with that.
The age limit thing, to me, it's a good thing to try to restrict this. It's a good thing. So if it's a good thing, it should be something that parents are trying to do anyway. My problem is, my concern is that do they even really know how they can do this? Or are they just going to throw some burdens on these social media companies? Like, hey, we told you to make sure. Because we talked about pornography, and it is illegal for children to access pornography. Children access pornography on the internet all the time. You know, it's not like you're walking into a store and you're like 12 or 13 years old and there's somebody saying, hey, get out of there. You can't be in that. You know, get out.
Right.
This store isn't for you. Then, you know, that's easier to enforce. But the internet is just, it's so difficult that it's going to take a really good law with some really clear definitions and things to make this a good policy. And I don't trust even if it is bipartisan, I don't trust our government to be able to execute this law in a way that is going to be good.
You have to regulate the companies, not the parents. That's the difference. It's a huge difference because we're not talking about, at least the way I view it, I'm not looking at this about what parents should and shouldn't let their kids do. I'm looking at what companies should and should not be allowed to do or permit to exist on their platforms that can reach the eyes of children. Because we know full well that Instagram specifically, but also Facebook and other, probably TikTok, I haven't heard specifically there, but I can't imagine it's any different. The whole algorithm is set up to suck those kids in because those companies make money off of that. I'm not interested in regulating how parents parent their kids. But if you're going to serve America's children up on a platter to these companies who can get young minds addicted to something, we do regulate things that are habit forming, that are bad biologically, scientifically for not fully developed and matured children all the time. I could make a strong case that social media is exactly that way. And I mean, like, you go towards, you make sure that the gas stations aren't selling alcohol to minors. That's where the regulation comes in. It's for people who are sitting on the sidelines, who don't have this in their home or are not being affected about this personally. Please don't boil this down to, oh, government, get out of my home and stop telling me how to parent, because it's way more complicated than that. And I'm not advocating for the government to come in here. Like, if we don't have the details yet, or if Ryan's article doesn't have the details of what this is, I'm not going to support it. I would like to see what the bill is. I would like to know what the details are. I would like to know what the consequences are. So I am far, far, far from being like, yep, thumbs up, rubber stamp, put the AF on that one from Annie Frey. But if we're going to let our kids be passed back and forth between corporations who want to fill their brains with absolute disgusting nonsense and get them addicted and get them to the point where they're hating themselves and they use it to hate on each other in ways that, you know, back in our day, we just like talked behind people's backs physically, not just on social media posting terrible things. It's a much bigger issue than most people will ever realize until it hits your home. And if the government is going to step in to regulate the companies, it needs to be said that way, assuming that's the regulation that's put in place, not the parents.
I'm actually glad to see that this is bipartisan, depending on how this turns out. Of course, we'll see. But the overall thing that I kept thinking about when reading this is that we are in an age now where there is just so much more out there to protect kids from, that I guess it's good to see that there's support on both sides of the aisle for protecting kids. We'll see exactly how it turns out.
When we come back, we're going to talk with Jim Carafano about Sudan and everything that has been taking place over there. More embassies evacuated. Where are we headed? Is this another Afghanistan? Jim Carafano, when we come back.
This is where the early birds started getting their prices for air conditioners. If you're that person that is looking now to get prices and you are calling around, please, I'm asking you to please call me. Here's what I have to offer. It's going to be simple. It's going to be straightforward. It's common sense language. And I won't give you a science lesson on what works for you and works for your house and works for your budget, which will lead you to savings of thousands of dollars. So if you want straight shot, get your prices, talk to people, call me first, call me last. Bart Inman at 314-293-2600. Again, it's Bart Inman, 314-293-2600, or the internet thing. It is, you got to get the spelling right. So it's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. Can I add this? Do we get enough time to add this? Save it in your phone under A, air conditioning. It works. My customers say it does work. God bless.
We talked with Adrian Norman about the mortgage lending situation that's taking place. And Stewie, we had a long conversation with Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage on Friday. Go check out the Annie Frey Show podcast. You need to hear the conversation that we had with Stewie, our expert when it comes to mortgage lending and what this government has now put in place as a new Fed rule. If you were thinking about purchasing a home, connect with Stewie. I'm telling you, the sooner you connect with him, the better position you'll be in economically, because we're going to have access to the bagel loan, of course. When you use the bagel loan, you pay zero in fees that other lenders out there are going to charge you for. That's why he calls it the bagel loan. Bagel looks like a zero, and you pay zero in fees. Helps you remember that. And when you partner with Stewie, you're talking with somebody who is nationally renowned for his success in the mortgage lending business. He does business directly with you. So when you call or text 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440, you get Stewie. You can Google the bagel loan to find out all the details that you need. NMLS number 226715.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
He wants 4 more years. On Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Our economic plan is working.
President Biden focusing on manufacturing jobs at a union conference in D.C.
We now have to finish the job, but there's more to do. And you're leading the way. Shovels in the ground, cranes in the air, factories opening.
This after a video announcement early today that he is running for re-election.
Here's what Americans, though, have seen under President Biden. Inflation peaked at 50-year record highs, with inflation stickier than first thought. The forced transition that we have, the cost of energy, is up about 24% since President Biden took office. The cost of food up 18% since the last election. And President Biden depleted the Strategic Petroleum Reserve by more than 40% in 2 years.
Fox Business's Edward Lawrence. Former President Trump calls the Biden economic agenda a socialist spending calamity and calls the president the most corrupt in American history, pledging in his own video to rescue the economy if elected again. A jury's just been seated to hear a civil lawsuit against Trump, brought by writer E. Jean Carroll, who accuses him of rape in a department store dressing room in the 1990s. She's also suing him for defamation, a case on hold over legal challenges. Trump has denied the allegations, and his lawyers claim the sexual assault case violates due process rights. A deadly explosion at a petroleum plant in suburban Chicago. One person killed, another injured earlier today at Seneca Petroleum in Lamont, where a fire is under control.
According to the Will County Sheriff's Office, initial reports indicate the explosion may have taken place in an asphalt tank. Officials putting out a statement reassuring the public they face no danger and that fire personnel do not believe any type of hazmat situation has occurred.
Fox's Lillian Wu. An accelerating sell-off on Wall Street. The Dow's now down more than 300 points. America is listening to Fox News.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids than ride in an ambulance.
I'd rather have a catch with my dog Curtis than catch pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease, asthma, or diabetes, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20 pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Learn more at Prevnar20.com. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's a pretty nice afternoon of weather. We'll call it partly sunny and 65 degrees, though that is still a touch below average. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, a sprinkle here and there, 45 for the overnight low. On Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy skies and 65 degrees. Lots of clouds Wednesday night. Thursday, clouds, couple of showers, but no all-day rain, and 62. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Eric Clapton is coming to St. Louis September 12th, and we have your chance to win tickets. Now through May 7th, for each hour you listen to 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app, you'll be entered to win. All you have to do is log in and listen.
There are a lot of smart business people out there making smart decisions by getting Rhino Shield. The latest one, the Central Illinois Care Services, they have decided to go with Rhino Shield on the outside of their building so they won't have to worry about maintenance from now on. The list is long. Joe's Tire out in Sullivan, Stonehill Wineries in Herman, they've all got Rhino Shield on their buildings. You can have it on your business or your house. Just call 877-25-RHINO. Let Darren come out and give you a free estimate as to what it would cost to get this great product on your home. 25-year transferable warranty, 100% waterproof, 8 to 10 times thicker than paint, and as a satisfied customer, 15 years in, I can tell you it looks as good as the day they put it on. You're going to love Rhino Shield. Call them right now. Tell them you heard about it on the Mark Cox Morning Show. Again, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Sharpshooters Indoor Range can facilitate all types of experience levels. CCW courses instructed every month. Check sharpshooterstl.com for availability. Private training is available daily. Sharpshooters Indoor Range can host large group and corporate events with catering from Sharpshooters Pit and Grill. Thursday is always Ladies' Day from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Rent your firearm with the Try Before You Buy wall. Sharpshooters Indoor Range on Gravois in St. Louis. Visit sharpshooterstl.com for full details.
Thinking of selling your house, but you don't want to deal with repairs, cleaning, realtors, photos, and showings? With Chris Buys Homes in StLouis.com, you don't have to do any repairs or pay any commissions. Call 314-782-8000, and Chris will give you a fair cash offer without any inspections, showings, or other headaches. That's 314-782-8000. At Chris Buys Homes in StLouis.com, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, beautiful houses, fixer-uppers, in any condition, as is. Chris Buys Homes in StLouis.com provides you the easiest sell possible and will assist you in every step of the way. If you want to sell and have any questions, please call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000 and get the offer you've been waiting for.
How might this week's big stories impact your portfolio? Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale with Stifel. Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Eric Robert during On the Money every Saturday from 11 till noon right here on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Underlaw, we take on the establishment and challenge corporations to be better for the safety of our community.
Call Underlaw Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618-9 million.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
On Saturday, I directed the temporary suspension of operations at Embassy Khartoum, and we conducted a successful operation to safely evacuate all U.S. Embassy personnel and their dependents. I want to reiterate my appreciation for the leadership of Ambassador John Godfrey and the entire embassy team who managed the consolidation of our people and the necessary preparations for the evacuation under a very fluid security situation.
Jim Carafano,
These are dangerous times.
Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at Heritage.
These are dangerous times, and that's why we always welcome Jim Carafano back on the show. Jim, thank you for being here with us. Sudan was not on a lot of people's bingo card, but I'm sure it probably should be. What can you tell us about what's going on there?
What I can tell you is there is going to be somebody in the White House whose job it is just to make excuses. I swear, because it's just listening how everything we did is great and everything else is not my fault is really just beyond the pale. So you're right. I mean, people should have known better. I mean, there's always been this serious fractional divide in Sudan that's made it very unstable. And it was really the Israelis that were really pressing on the U.S. to push the Sudanese to get them to be part of the Abraham Accords, to show the Abraham Accords is growing everything else. But this thing could have fallen apart in a minute. And so certainly the U.S. government should have known that there was a potential there for the whole thing to go south. And they certainly should have been prepared for that. And it's very, very clear that they absolutely weren't. And, you know, the hilarious thing, you said, well, thank God for the leadership of the ambassador. But the ambassador actually wasn't even in Sudan. They literally flew him to Sudan. so they could evacuate him from Sudan.
Oh my gosh.
And say he was in charge. I swear to God.
Really?
Nuts. Yes.
Jim Carafano joining us right now. I mean, the conflict in Sudan, I've read a little bit about it, and it seems as though there is a power struggle that has existed for a while due to the vacuum from the previous leader being ousted. And so they have this struggle. Is this where the United States comes in? What's the United States' presence there? And what does it look like our future is going to be, our future responsibilities in Sudan?
Well, I think our responsibility right now is by some accounts, we have up to 19,000 citizens. So you say, well, they're dual citizens. Okay, well, I don't care. They have a U.S. passport, and they can vote in the U.S. election. They're an American citizen, and the U.S. has some obligation and concern to assist them. And I know you said, well, we didn't. We told people they should leave. Okay, so let me get this straight. So Saudi Arabia, India, Egypt, all these other guys can make it easy to evacuate citizens who are at risk. But the United States, we don't have time for that. I mean, is that what you're telling me here? So I do think that assisting American citizens is the number one thing. After that, look, it's just going to be a mess. There's no easy way about that. Now that the two sides have started fighting, they both have the resources to continue to do that. The Wagner, the Russian mercenaries are there. They play both sides against each other. There's plenty of criminal activity and smuggling that can finance this thing. So my guess is the fighting's going to go on for a while. And I look, this administration is they're just, I don't know, with placid on these things, right? So in Afghanistan, you know what their solution in Afghanistan was? We're now funneling many millions of dollars of foreign aid to Afghanistan, which is ending up in the hands of the Taliban, and is financing the government that threw us out. And so other than writing checks and making excuses from the kiosk there, at the press room, I don't know if these guys are capable of anything more than that.
Well, it seems as though from where I sit at least, that this administration is in constant campaign mode. So you only need to keep the people's attention on one specific point and one specific feeling at any given time, and they'll just burn the next bridge when they get there. Now we know that the president is running for re-election, and Ukraine is still a concern for the world. We have a southern border that is an absolute disaster. Do you expect to see the president speaking on any policy changes on either of those fronts, because now he wants to be in charge for the next 6 years?
Well, I mean, other than, not my job or not my fault and making excuses and blaming other guys, or just avoiding not much. I mean, people, we forget because, we have such short memories here, but for 2 years, Biden completely ignored the mushrooming disaster at the border. I mean, he utterly ran away from it. And then suddenly the midterms didn't turn out so bad, and they looked kind of good. So he said, okay, now I'm going to go to the border and just kind of bluff and lie my way through this. So he did a border thing, had no impact whatsoever. Nobody bought that. And so Biden just went back to ignoring the border issue.
I hear these reports about 85,000 missing children from the southern border. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So first of all, the U.S. has basically been taking our taxpayer dollars to run the world's largest human trafficking network. And they are basically paying NGOs. They're supposed to be non-governmental organizations. They're supposed to be helping needy people. Instead, they're helping the U.S. government with human smuggling. And we're just dumping these kids inside the country, and we're losing track of them.
Where do they go? What are we doing with these kids? Do they go into foster care?
Dumping them. We're just dumping them, and so who knows where they wind up? If they actually wind up with relatives, or if they wind up in human trafficking, or wind up in sex trafficking. We don't really know because we've lost track of these kids, and the numbers are just overwhelming, and they just keep throwing more numbers at it. So it's completely outrageous if you think back to the things they attacked the last administration on, which were actually none of them were true. That we were keeping kids in cages and everything else, and you remember the outrage that the Trump administration, which eventually they did, that they couldn't account for 200 kids, which eventually, by the way, they did prove that they could account for them, right? And tens of thousands of people, kids just lost in the system, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Because AOC is not on her knees crying about it, right? But apparently when a well-meaning leftist president creates human suffering and misery, it's excusable and even inappropriate to discuss because their heart is pure and driven. But when a Republican, regardless of the situation or everything, can be accused of anything, rightly or wrongly, that's a moral and courageous thing to do.
Yeah. It's so hypocritical. They're so full of gaslighting, and it makes taxpayers and voters and American residents want to pull their hair out because it just doesn't make sense. And yet, from the political stage, these parties get away with that. You've said, Jim Carafano, especially after the last election, coming into maybe the president's first year, that the southern border, because it just rapidly, month after month after month, once the president was inaugurated, got so much worse, exponentially worse. And you were pretty strong on the thought that in the 2024 election, that the border was going to be a very big issue. Do you still believe that?
I do believe that's true. And I also believe I don't know if we'll make it to 2025 with the not addressing the problem at the scale they are. If you combine the literally millions of people just walking in the United States, we have no idea who they are, what they're saying. Infrastructure in Afghanistan, and they're actively plotting global terrorist attacks. That, when are we going to get the next, pick your dates, 9, whatever, 10, 24, whatever dates you want to pick. When are we going to have the next, and is it going to happen on Biden's watch? Because here, I tell you right now, you can just save the tape. If it happens on Biden's watch, and a bunch of people are killed in this country as a result of a terrorist attack, which could be just a when, not an if, the first thing the Biden administration will tell you when they get to the dais is how it's not their fault.
The first thing.
If there's a Republican president elected, the day after that Republican president takes office, the Democrats will march the phones and tell you it's absolutely the Republicans' fault.
It's unsustainable. I mean, it has become so polarizing and unsustainable that these things we're hurting ourselves in the process by not addressing these issues and making better decisions. Jim, thank you. Go ahead.
And we just don't learn from our mistakes. We really remember, Trump. Bush went out of his way not to blame Clinton for 9/11, even though much of the groundwork was laid. That look, we as a people need to figure this out and move on. Instead, when things happen, all the Democrats do is have a commission to say, all right, how can we blame Republicans for this? And this is from a guy that's not even a Republican, and I can see it. Thanks for having me on.
Jim, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you again next week. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Jim Carafano, Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at the Heritage Foundation. Go tweet at him at JJ Carafano. Tell him thanks for coming on. He makes time for us. We're grateful for it. I think about President Biden. You remember when he took the podium and he was talking about, it was a mother who was talking about losing her son to fentanyl. You remember that?
Yes.
And he said that fentanyl came in under Trump.
Uh-huh.
I am a mother. And if I lost my child to fentanyl, and the man who was responsible for protecting the sovereignty of this country said, yeah, but it was Donald Trump's fentanyl, I would be violently enraged.
I feel like you would be in an orange jumpsuit.
I
shortly
probably
thereafter.
would end up that way. I mean, the mentality that you have to be in, the reality that you have to exist in, to think about a mourning mother who died, the child died from a fentanyl overdose from something, I think it was like Xanax or something that the kid took. I can't remember specifically the details. The kid wasn't out there trying to do hard drugs. I think he was doing prescription drugs that he obtained in an inappropriate way. Mm-hmm. This is something that is common. It's bad. It shouldn't happen. But it happened. That instance happened. But because it was not from a reputable place, it was laced with fentanyl, and the kid died. And the president of the United States says, "Yeah, but it wasn't my fentanyl." I don't even want to say out loud the things that I'm thinking right now for fear of having to eat those words later. It's it's all politicians. I've seen Republicans do it too. It's only about blame. It's only about making sure that when someone goes in to vote into their polling place the next time, that they just think that the other guy is worse.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build a country on that? How do you grow a country like that?
You don't grow a country on that. And the sad thing is too, you see this playing out in Congress's approval rating and stuff like that. We've hollowed out what elections should be about to the point where all we are doing is voting against the enemy, not voting for a better future. And so then when they get into office and 50% of the people think the worst thing that has ever happened to the country is now elected into office. And then we go, oh no, we hate them. And then we're divided. It's that attitude, that election strategy, that making sure that you know the other guy is the bad guy. It's why we're so divided as a country.
And we sit here and we go, well, the division is the problem. I said that earlier. That's, I think that Joe Biden will win if he can continue to delineate the divide that exists between Americans and increase it. You and I will sit here and say, well, how do we solve this division? How do you bring people together? How do you make the Republican tent bigger? How do you make sure that people on the other side understand what it means to be conservative and not just the version of what somebody else says who is just trying to get, like, how do we build these bridges and mend these fences? And you say to yourself, let's follow people who want to lead us into a place where we will then be united. But what if the goal is division? Nobody's going to fix a problem that is their solution. If the problem that you see in front of your own eyes is the goal of the people who are in opposition to you, you got to change your tactics. You got to change your course. There's so much studying and reflection that needs to be done for Republicans in the next 560 days. Because we are going to lose this next election the same way we continue to lose the ones that have come before us unless we figure out a new way to win. In 2016, the Trump campaign figured out how to use social media and Facebook ads to reach people and to win. And you can ask the people on the campaign. That was a key part of it. In 2008, Barack Obama used YouTube. YouTube was a baby. And Barack Obama still and his campaign worked in innovative ways to reach new people in new ways and share the message that they wanted to send. What is the Republican Party going to do? Because it doesn't matter who the candidates are if the Republican Party doesn't work in lockstep. And we are far from lockstep. Today's YouTube live chat poll, if you join us on the Annie Frey YouTube live broadcast right now in the live chat portion, is the poll: can Joe Biden win a second term? Yes or no? I would love to know what you think about it. Leave some comments. Hannah highlights those throughout the course of the show. Plus, she will report on the results of this audience very highly scientific polling. The only polls that I trust. Right here on the Annie Frey Show. So make sure you're heard and you're a part of it. Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away.
Feel your sinking, I will jump right over into cold water for you. And although time may take us into different
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
And I hope you know I won't let go.
You know, it's called Fountains Family Dentistry. I should probably talk about the family aspect of Fountains Family Dentistry more often than I do, because that is where we take our kids, and they are so good with kids. So if you have kids or grandkids, make your appointment there at Fountains Family Dentistry in Fairview Heights, Illinois. And you won't regret it, because your kids not only go in, if they're scared, sometimes they are, go to the dentist, especially when they're really little. You take them there, and they're going to walk out not just knowing that they went to the dentist, but that they nailed it, because the people are so nice and encouraging to your kids there that they're going to walk away thinking that was a terrific experience. And I think we're on about a 1-year schedule. So every August, right before school starts, I think there's some requirements we have to get to take the kids to school. Not a bad idea to actually make those appointments now for August if that's on your agenda. Call them, Fountains Family Dentistry. They're in Fairview Heights, Illinois, and they'll not only take your kids, but you can go there too, get everything done, one-stop shop, all your dental needs. Fountains Family Dentistry in Fairview Heights, fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
Hello, I'm Howard Mackler, founder of Innovation Refunds. You've heard me talking about the payroll tax refund for months. I'm so proud that we've helped over 15,000 businesses claim over $5 billion in cash incentives. If you own a business, even if you've asked your CPA about this, you owe it to yourself to take another look. Every client is assigned a licensed and insured tax attorney who evaluates your company at my expense to accurately determine eligibility. Innovation Refunds has hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google, and your business might be entitled to receive up to $26,000 per employee. Businesses of all types can qualify, including medical, professional, construction, even nonprofits. Please don't miss out on this. Even your doctor would tell you to get an expert second opinion, and we do a lot of work for doctors. Download the Innovation Refunds app now or go to getrefunds.com to potentially get a payroll tax refund of $26,000 per employee. GetRefunds.com. GetRefunds.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The Mark Reardon Show. What are your thoughts on the Battlehawks?
The only people as disappointed as St. Louis fans are the ones in the XFL because they wanted that attendance, they wanted the passion that only St. Louis can bring to the XFL.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Let me tell you that Illinois is the best place in the world to visit. We have everything. You want to soak up some sun at a picturesque lakefront location? Come to Illinois. You want to visit 5 museums and see a fireworks show in the same day? Come to Illinois. You want to experience the hometowns of some of the nation's greatest presidents? Come to Illinois. You want to see and experience culinary delights with the best craft distilleries and finest hospitality and restaurants in the nation? Come to Illinois. We are the heart of the Midwest and, frankly, the heart of the nation. And we are home to the kindest and friendliest people. We couldn't be more excited to welcome you here to our state and our great city.
I don't feel too kind and friendly right now.
It's just funny to listen to him do that.
How much of that was Chicago?
There
was not much, Brad, that he was saying there that made you feel like Southern Illinois represent. Yeah, that's right.
I was sitting there thinking, it's like, the 5 museums and a fireworks show in Southern Illinois. Where would that be?
I don't know. I could put one on. Springfield, maybe for Lincoln's home, Reagan's home, Obama's home. But this, I mean, he's not talking about the rest of us. And maybe he just shouldn't, because we're not his people. You know, Illinois is a great place. It's very sad that Illinois isn't a major destination for business in the United States. It's weird, but I kind of don't. Do you think of the Mississippi as a Missouri River or an Illinois River?
I haven't thought of it that way. Either way, it really.
I feel like the Mississippi is a Missouri thing. I know that it's not. Like, I understand geography. Do you have a thought on that?
I mean, I've never thought of it belonging to anybody. No,
I think of the Mississippi River in context with the arch and the St. Louis skyline, and the Mississippi River is the foundation for the whole thing. Who's taking pictures of the Mississippi River with the Illinois backdrop?
Nobody's doing that.
It's because there's nothing to take a picture of.
Yeah. The fountain in East St. Louis, they tried. That's about it, all it is. But that's
I don't
actually
even know what you're talking about.
That's where you go to take pictures of the St. Louis skyline, actually.
Yeah, there's a fountain in just across the river from the arch. I forget what they call it. It's some sort of thing, but they have to notify the FAA.
The geyser?
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
It's a bit bigger than a fountain.
Okay.
Well, they call it the world's largest or highest fountain.
Is it?
I don't know if it is. I know they have to notify the FAA that they're turning it on so planes don't run into it.
Surprise!
I don't ever see that thing on. For a while it was, but...
I used to drive the Poplar Street Bridge a lot, so I used to see it from time to time driving the Poplar. I don't see it driving the Stanspan. Why? But think about that for a second. Why? It's the same access, the same things that would have built up Missouri, the access to the river. I mean, that is the thing that makes it a hub for commerce. Why does it look one way on the west and one way on the east? Look at Kansas City. Kansas City has thriving Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, thriving Kansas City, Kansas. Why not Illinois? What's the answer for that?
I mean, the problem is that it was built up. I mean, you have East St. Louis was a major metropolitan area for quite a while. Not quite as big as St. Louis, but it was a very much developed place, and it's just fallen apart. And
why? I know what it was. Yeah. Why is it the way it is right now?
Crime. And not dealing with crime.
Poverty.
Yeah.
Which, does crime create poverty? Does poverty create crime?
Yes.
Chicken and the egg. How come we don't have a more booming industry on the Illinois side of the river? What would it take to make that happen? I know people who have invested in it. We had Wavy Lester in here, Kevin Schmidt in here, and these are people who are running as Republicans for the state house who wanted to see these areas thrive and succeed, like Cahokia and everything. The Walmart in Cahokia is going away. I saw that on the news. It's just a shame. And if you think about rural areas in Illinois, there's really only so much you can do from a rural standpoint because the expanse of space that you need to grow crops causes the metropolises to not really be able to exist. You have a town, it has a pizza place and a bar and a church and a post office, and you can, go into town and get your groceries, but then you got to drive out to the country. Those people are happy to do that. The people who are living in the shadow of the progress that is St. Louis, Missouri, and then you cross the river and you say, well, what about St. Louis, Missouri? And if you look pretty closely, if you put your feet on the ground in the city of St. Louis, you realize there's a lot of struggle going on over here. The buildings are just bigger, but the Millennium Hotel, vacant, plants growing out of the top of it. There are beautiful things to access in the city. There are wonderful places to visit, to learn, to experience. There's wonderful art. And, they're quite a bit more developed over on the Missouri side of the Mississippi here in St. Louis. But it's not rainbows and sunshine over here either. And it seems to me to be a lot of the same thing, crime and poverty. The solution to crime and poverty on the left is less police, more mercy to criminals, and money that they take from someone else to give to people who haven't done anything to earn it. How does anybody look at that and say, this will break the cycle? There's no incentive for the cycle to be broken. I don't understand the repetitive nature of people who always vote the same way outside of the only explanation that makes sense, which is they're not really thinking about the issues when they go to vote. It's not that they can't think for themselves, but they haven't really been given a reason to think for themselves. And when we look at the city of St. Louis specifically, and I say, like Kim Gardner, she could get removed by the by the court system, but Attorney General Andrew Bailey could successfully have her removed from her circuit attorney position. She can run again. She will get elected if she runs again. If she is the person up for that position, she will get elected again. And I bet you there'd be a lot of people vote for her who don't even know she was removed from office.
Yeah. Heck, I almost think that if it were up to the city to appoint the circuit attorney, if she's removed, they would just go ahead and appoint her again. Like they would remove her and then appoint her. But to your point, I think people don't think about the long-term ramifications of certain policies that are put forth. Like you were saying, how the cycle just repeats itself and repeats itself. Being successful is difficult. And instead of rewarding success and allowing people who are successful to enjoy the fruits of their labor, we're punishing it. I mean, we see that in the mortgage thing. We see that we see it in a progressive income tax. If you do better, it costs you more. The farther you go, the more the government stands in your way of your success. And so people don't want to do hard things and not really reap the reward. So why on earth would they start trying? Why would they start trying? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Paying attention to what Stewie talked with us, I played that interview back for my husband, and he was outraged.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was like, you're kind of angry about this. He's like, I'm really angry about this. So go to the Annie Frey Show podcast and listen to Stewie talking about this new mortgage situation that the Biden administration has set up, where if you have, I think he said like a 740 or a 750 credit score or more, you're going to pay 0.5% to 1% more on your mortgage rate. That money is going to go into a pot that is then going to be used to subsidize loans for people who have 680 or less so that they can access better rates on their mortgage and acquire affordable housing. And there's no, a lot of times they'll put these into place and they'll say, this is only being done to households who make $400,000 or more. High credit score? Thank you for your service. Here's the fee that you will be paying on your mortgage or your mortgage refinance. These are the type of solutions that continue to be put into place from the left. And I always feel the need to ask, and it's very hard to find people who you can genuinely ask this question to and get a straight answer because these people are all very good at words.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really believe that this is a solution? And if so, tell me what you believe the problem is and what the solution looks like for everybody. Because you can't put into play this type of a mortgage lending rule without acknowledging that you are penalizing people.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, well, I wouldn't call it a penalty. And I would just say, what will the people who have to pay it feel like it is? Of course they're going to think it's a penalty. Anytime you have to pay an increased fee for something, it's almost always because you didn't qualify to not have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying you're going to pay this fee because we're taking a risk on you. So this is how we're going to get some of our money in. No, it's just if you have the higher credit score. This is socialism. Actually, I was corrected when I said that. This is more like fascism.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in broad daylight. This is not sneaky. There are a lot of things that get put into place that are exactly the same thing as this. This is just hanging out there, flapping in the wind, wide open, obvious, in your face. What are you going to do about it? I don't understand why anybody who knows that this is happening would want to support more of this. But the people who vote for it over and over again, I don't believe know about it, or they're the ones who directly benefit from it. And if the point of benefiting from it is to no longer be in the scenario that you are in now as to where you would benefit from it, if you want to crawl out of it, then you are now going to be on the other side of this coin and you're not going to like it then. I don't understand it. It's incredibly frustrating. I don't know why, but the president announcing today that he's running again with Kamala Harris, to me, is the up in your face, what are you going to do about it? They believe that they can win again. And everybody watched the 2020 election go down, and everybody said, there's no way he can win, right? He's not doing anything. He has 7 supporters sitting in predetermined circles and folding chairs. How is this guy possibly going to win? He received the most votes in the history of the United States. What are you going to do about it? I'll ask Ryan that question when we come back and get some of your comments as well on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. The poll today is, can Joe Biden win a second term? Ryan, we'll get your thoughts on that as well when we come back. Stick around. More Annie Frey Show in a minute.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
The Thomas Helbig Retirement Advisory Group Protecting Your Retirement educational event is happening again, and you got a few weeks to get your reservation in. Seats do need to be reserved, and I hope to see you there. May 16th, it's Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Go online to retirementkey.com and register your spot there. Bring a friend, bring some friends. If you're nearing retirement, or if you're already retired and you're concerned that all of the volatility that exists right now in the market is going to hurt your retirement accounts, then you need to sit and listen to this free seminar. It's not even long. It's like 45 minutes. I show up at 6 o'clock along with Mark Cox and Mark Reardon. We meet as many of you as we can until we get started at 6:30 p.m. and we get the show going. And by show, I mean Mark and I will talk to you just for a couple of minutes, turn it over to Thomas Helbig, and then he spends about 45 minutes giving you the lowdown on how he can help you protect your retirement. No obligation. Just go sit down, enjoy a free evening, get me the opportunity to meet you. I would love that, but you do have to reserve your spot. Oh, and there's snacks. I always want to mention the snacks. 314-993-9494. Call 314-993-94. Register online at retirementkey.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
I think we can all agree the state of the economy right now is far from certain. Whether you believe the economy is temporarily stalled or we are looking at a recession, I think we can agree the outlook for growth is probably quarters, not months away for most of our organizations. When it comes to technology, companies we talk to discuss the rising costs and lack of quality IT staff as a primary concern. At Acropolis, we have a proven process, a better way to help you manage IT. During the last 3 downturns, we have seen some of St. Louis's best companies turn to us for help. If you have 30 or 300 users, we can reduce your overall IT cost, add technical depth and capability without sacrificing your planned strategic technology budget. We can help you protect the business you built, optimize your IT spend, and position your organization for growth. If you have no IT staff or an IT department, we have helped many companies reduce costs while increasing capabilities of your existing team, or if it makes sense for your business, we can just be the team. Visit us on the web at acropolistech.com for a no-hassle consultation. Protect, optimize, grow. At Acropolis, we're here to help.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to The Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
You don't have to put up with sinus problems anymore. There's a solution. Mark Cox here. Call my friends at the St. Louis Sinus Center. They have locations in Festus and Frontenac. You can call them at 314-473-5433. Dr. Gould specializes in balloon sinus dilation. It's done in the office. It's pain-free, unlike traditional sinus surgery. Stop procrastinating. Go to their website at stlsinuscenter.com. SaintLouisSafe.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to $7,500 on a new hybrid HVAC system and save an additional 20% when bundled with attic insulation. This is a limited time offer. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Big ideas, real debate, solid entertainment. You found it here.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
Talking like we used to do. It was always me and you. Shaping up and shipping out.
This is the Annie
President
Frey
is
Show.
facing serious headwinds when it comes to the public perception about whether or not he should run. And chief among those concerns are the president's 80-year-old age. Now, if you take a look at a recent poll that was out from NBC News, the majority of the American public does not believe Biden should seek a second term. And within his own Democratic Party, half of Democrats do not believe the president should run for re-election. Now, if you look at the concerns that these voters have, nearly half of them say that his age is a major issue.
His age is a major issue. A lot of people are saying that. I just can't stress enough how if this comes down to Joe Biden or Donald Trump, none of that matters. I mean, if we played J.B. Pritzker in the last segment, and we said on this air, it might be a direct quote, I'd vote for a potato over J.B. Pritzker. Like, it doesn't matter who it was. If it were your 95-year-old grandpa, I'd say I'll vote for that. So there are a lot of reasons why Joe Biden shouldn't be the president of the United States again, but there are going to be a lot of people who would say the same thing about whomever the Republican nominee is, which I think right now you can say comfortably is likely going to be Donald Trump.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a matchup of two incumbents in a sense, which is going to be a wild, wild thing that we've never seen in our lives. And it's why so many people are going, really? That's what we're going to have? Because I've just seen polls this week that said that I think 70-something% of America said, no, please not.
That's what she just said.
Oh, that's what. Oh,
Yeah. With Biden.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a poll the other day that was like, it was similar, but it was for the Trump side. It's like, we really don't want Trump to run again. Like, Americans, it's like 56 or 60%. And it's like, and that's what we're going to end up with.
You know what? And you were just talking about this in the last break, though, that there are so many people, and the Democrats are so good at using words, that all of the issues that we were just talking about, whether it be crime or the mortgage thing, I don't know if people are paying as close attention to that as we are. I hope they are. But there are very few things that make me really mad about politics. They get me passionate, but that one makes me mad. But
it's just so bold. It's not
is.
even like a clandestine way to redistribute wealth.
No, they're not even trying to frame it. I mean, they're just saying, you know what? You've done well. It's time for you to be punished. And then they're just walking back into the White House. Like,
well,
there's no.
I don't even think of it as that way. It's like, you've done well enough. You've succeeded enough. And now there are some other people who need some success. And since you have enough, you don't need this. These people do, and for some godforsaken reason, they think they have the right to do that.
Yes, thank you. It's not even like the 1% that are being taxed. This is
the us.
Average. This is me.
We are incredibly average here.
Yes, I'm trying to climb out of my poverty hole, and they're kicking me back into it. But that stuff, I don't know that everybody is paying attention to that, but those who are, and this is not necessarily saying that the people in our chat who are leftists are going to think this way, but I know people in my life that they know some of these things, or you can bring them up and say, here are the issues. And they'll say, would you consider voting for something different? And they'd say, yeah, I don't like those things. Would you vote for a Republican? Oh, no, not a Republican, because it's a Republican.
And if it's Trump, it's hell no.
And mainly the reason you would ask is, well, because it's Trump. And so there is something to be said for Donald Trump being a dividing force in that sense. But it's not because it's Trump. It's because people, they're just feeling their way through a vote. They're not thinking about it because they don't like those policies.
Well, yeah, but what do they know about Donald Trump, and what do they know about his policies? They don't. They know what they've been told about Donald Trump. And it's it's a cognitive dissonance. I don't like what's going on, but it would be ultimately very much worse to have Donald Trump in there. And what's really ironic to me is a lot of the stuff that they're accusing Donald Trump of doing and being, this administration is doing and being that. Harming immigrants. They have open border policies. He's well-meaning, but man, these people that are trying to get to the United States are suffering. And I don't think people realize how bad that is. Well, Donald Trump's a fascist. Oh, really? So Donald Trump is taking money from people that they think have had enough and giving it to other people. Just snatching it right out of their hands and giving it. Because he can.
It's communism.
It's
any other issue. I mean, claiming that Republicans are warmongers. Look at the 4 years under Trump.
Oh, my gosh.
Versus this 4 years.
He ended endless wars. Are we not like seeing a big old war in Ukraine and everybody's got the little flag on, or Sudan's going off the rails?
How about ending poverty? Every single person has had a tax of about 20% added to their bills over the last 2 years.
Good grief.
And that affects the poor the worst. It's everything possible.
Can Joe Biden win?
Yes.
Yeah.
He still can win. In fact, I'd say if it's Trump-Biden, that he's still probably the favorite. And part of it is the messaging. I mean, we talk about it all the time. The media just knows how to control. I mean, we're watching a press conference right now with Corinne Jean-Pierre. That's what they do. But nobody asks her any questions in that room. Nobody's pushing back on any of this stuff other than Peter Doocy.
And Jackie Henrick.
And once in a while when they'll call on somebody else. But yes, the answer is yes, he can win, partly because of that and partly because they have figured out the Democrat machine of how to turn out their vote in the last 2 years in ways Republicans just have not.
I'll push back on that just a little bit, which is I think that there are actually people who are asking difficult questions of this administration, but they don't follow up. It's like asking the question isn't enough. You have to demand an answer to the point where the non-answer is the worst answer. And they don't do that. They certainly don't treat Corinne Jean-Pierre the way they treated Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Kayleigh McEnany. There is no aggressive pursuit for the truth or even the narrative. It's kind of interesting to see how aggressive people could be to really nail down their narrative with the prior administration, and how passive they can, those outlets at least, because a lot of times from administration to administration, the press pool will change. But just the passive nature. It's one of the reasons why, we did like almost the whole show yesterday on the Tucker Carlson News. And it's still shocking to me that he's off that channel. And I really think that his chains are gone in some capacity, as with anybody who works in traditional news media. You are playing by the rules of somebody else. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. If you align and you have the same goals and the same, and it does, I'm not talking about aligning politically. I'm talking about from a business standpoint, from a production standpoint. If you feel like you can coexist, then it's a good partnership, and it should continue and it should maintain. But there is a frontier that exists in this country specifically, and the way that we, through the First Amendment, establish a free press, married with the technology that we have right now. And I'm looking around, and Brad and I were discussing this last night, and tomorrow we have Charlie, who is on Outkick now, who left ESPN because she couldn't stand any longer by this idea that there were going to be men playing women's sports or whatever. She decided to make a move, so she's going to Outkick. So we are going to speak with her tomorrow. I'm looking forward to having that conversation with her about if you are paying attention to people who are choosing right now to speak up and to be willing to lose something to gain almost self-respect about this is who I am and this is what I stand for. And you can call it whatever you want. If you want to put a political label on it, you can put a political label on it. But people are being willing to stand up today and say, this is who I am. And I don't agree with the mainstream narrative. I'm not willing to go along to get along anymore. This is wrong. And I want to point at something that is obviously wrong and say out loud, it's wrong, and not give a crap what anyone else thinks about me for saying that. I want to talk to more people like that. So Charlie Arnold with Outkick is going to be with us on Wednesday at 1:25 p.m. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation about her bold stepping away of ESPN and joining Outkick and what she sees in her future. More people need to be willing to stand up and not do it on behalf of some label that you want to apply to yourself, because everyone's always going to apply labels to you. It's weird how I put this out on Twitter, and I think this is a very interesting conversation that nobody is having right now. Aren't there not drag queens out there who love to do drag, who are doing drag queens for bachelorette parties and doing the drag thing? Go for it. I mean, is that a controversial thing for me to say that drag is it something I want to participate in? I've never been to a drag show. I did think that Hamburger Mary's had the best burgers in town, but I don't even know if they're still here anymore. I'm not going to a drag show. But drag shows exist, so do strip joints and Sage, and I'm not losing my mind over that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to find out that my husband is going there or my kids are going to be going there someday. I don't agree with it, but I'm not picketing to take that place down. Drag shows can happen anytime, anywhere, but keep the damn kids out of it. Why is that not something that is so freaking obvious? And are there any drag queens who are like, yeah, what we do is fun and exciting and it's adult entertainment. And if you would like to come join us, we would like to have a party with you. But no, this isn't for kids. We're not doing it for kids. Why is it difficult? Why is nobody saying that? Like, just make the delineation.
And that's the whole point. Because you're seeing so many people on the left pushing back and saying, oh, look at so-and-so one time was at a drag event. It's not about drag. It's about kids being at sexualized events.
Yes, and they are sexualized events because they have to call them family-friendly drag shows so that you can bring your kids to, because these are family-friendly, which implies that a drag show is not family-friendly. If you have to label it as family-friendly, the default setting is not.
It's weird to me that it's a very, very frequented destination for bachelorette parties.
Yeah.
And also children's stories at libraries.
That is a weird cross-section. That is really, really weird because you don't have the same thing with strip clubs. Yet, that's the debate today. Where are we?
I will make people mad when I say I don't care if drag exists. It doesn't affect me. I'm not mad at drag queens. Slay, queen. Not around the kids. These things are obvious. Yet here we are saying them out loud, probably getting labeled for doing so. Label me away. It's being done anyway, and I just don't frankly care. Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. Can Joe Biden win a second term? We'll be back for the 2 o'clock hour in a minute.
If you want to see better in the new year, there's no better time to call Brenton Vision than right now. Mark Cox here. My friends at Brenton have everything you need to get the crisp, clear vision you've always wanted. Call them at 314-375-2020 or go online today to brentonvision.com. They are the only team in Missouri to perform all 7 FDA-approved forms of vision correction. That includes modern LASIK, permanent contact lenses, and if you have bad reading vision, they even have treatments for you too. So stop throwing your money away. My wife got lens replacement. She sees perfectly these days, and she loves it. Quit putting it off. If it's standing in your way of achieving your goals and your resolutions, Brenton Vision is here to help. Call them today at 314-375-2020. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. That's 314-375-2020. Or schedule right now at brentonvision.com.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Thinking of selling your house, but you don't want to deal with repairs, cleaning, realtors, photos, and showings? With Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com, you don't have to do any repairs or pay any commissions. Call 314-782-8000 and Chris will give you a fair cash offer without any inspections, showings, or other headaches. That's 314-782-8000. At Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, beautiful houses, fixer-uppers, in any condition, as is. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis.com provides you the easiest sell possible and will assist you in every step of the way. If you want to sell and have any questions, please call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000 and get the offer you've been waiting for.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The president hits the ground running. Elisa Brady, Fox News, giving a speech just hours after announcing his re-election campaign.
It wasn't a campaign stop, but President Biden was enthusiastically welcomed by a conference of union members here in Washington.
Every federal project is going to be built by American workers, using American products, creating American jobs.
The president highlighted new spending on computer chips and improvements to roads, bridges, and railways, saying under his watch, Infrastructure Week went from a punchline to a headline.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House.
He's announcing his reelection while lying about what the Republican Party even stands for.
Florida Congressman Corey Mills criticizing the president's record while joining more than 50 other Republican lawmakers making early endorsements of former President Donald Trump. Trump says President Biden has done more damage to the country than the 5 worst presidents in U.S. history combined. The former president is on trial over the sexual assault claims of writer E. Jean Carroll. Opening statements beginning after a jury was seated this afternoon.
Carroll alleges the former president raped her in the dressing room of a luxury department store in New York City. Carroll went public with the claim almost 3 decades after she said it happened. Former President Trump has continually denied the accusation and even claims he never met Carroll.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Carroll is also suing Trump for defamation, that case on hold over legal challenges. Days after clearing out U.S. Embassy personnel, the White House says the president's national security team is continuing to talk to military leaders from both sides of the conflict in Sudan, trying to support a durable end to the fighting there. Yesterday, a 72-hour ceasefire was announced. America is listening to Fox News.
I'd rather ride a bike with my kids than ride in an ambulance.
I'd rather have a catch with my dog Curtis than catch pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like heart disease, asthma, or diabetes, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20 pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Learn more at Prevnar20.com. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's a pretty nice afternoon of weather. We'll call it partly sunny and 65 degrees, though that is still a touch below average. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, a sprinkle here and there, 45 for the overnight low. On Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy skies and 65 degrees. Lots of clouds Wednesday night. Thursday, clouds, couple of showers, but no all-day rain, and 62. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Play ball!
Step up to the plate by donating your old car to Goodwill and get 4 box seats to a Cardinal game. Your car donation to Goodwill will help people right here in St. Louis. Donating is easy, towing is free, and you get a tax receipt. Plus, you'll get Cardinal tickets, compliments of the St. Louis Cardinals. Donate online at mersgoodwill.com. Must mention promo code Cardinals. Hurry while supplies last.
So stayhomemedical.com is the website you visit to check out what I'm talking about. Urgent care that comes to you. This is a super incredibly helpful and next level way to use urgent care, not have to sit in waiting rooms with other sick people or other hurt people. You have them come to you. Stay Home Medical is a phone call away. And this is why it's important for you to put this number in your phone right now. On the off chance that you are not immediately, right now, in this moment, in urgent need of care, put this number in your phone and save it as Stay Home Medical and call them the next time that you have an urgent care need for yourself. And they'll come to your home and they'll come to your office. They'll come to where you are and provide you the care that you need. 314-944-3003. Call 314-944-3003 and work with a nurse practitioner that works under a collaborating physician to come to you in your time of need. Plus, they have a mobile phlebotomy service. So if you have lab tests that you need to have done, they can help you with those as well. These are your people, folks. You'll be so glad that you connected with them. They're affordable. StayHomeMedical.com.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2. Have a plan to get there. Step 3. Make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp data bank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, and RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Because it probably can.
If you're trying to sell your home, there's only one group of agents in town I trust. Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system, options, and strategies to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. Check out thegelmanteam.com.
Fact-checking the mainstream media daily.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You found it here. 97.1 FM Talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And then, so in 2024, it'll be Susan Rice versus Tucker Carlson.
Gutfeld last night throwing that out there. Is there any realistic possibility that, where did Ryan Wiggins go? What is he doing? Where did he go?
He went to grab some audio.
Oh, I just literally turned to him to ask him a question and he had disintegrated in thin air in front of me. Do you think there's any possibility Tucker Carlson runs for president?
Yeah, but it's very
What percentage?
slim. I'm in the 1.
He's back. I would like you to exit the same way, or I would like you to enter the same way you left, which is by vanishing and reappearing.
Okay.
That you-
I'll see if I can try this.
Okay, we're going to need the audible poof. Here we go.
Poof.
That's terrifying.
If you're looking at the camera, you know what I just did.
Everybody was looking at the cameras, not anymore. Do you think it's possible Tucker Carlson runs for president?
No, I don't.
No
well,
possibility.
possible. Sure, anything's possible. I don't think that's in his plans. No.
Would you vote for him?
In a primary or in
Sure.
the general? 'Cause in the
We
general,
already established we'd vote for a potato if it stopped more of this leftist nonsense that's taking place right now.
I mean, if you're talking about a three-way race,
Would you have to consider Tucker Carlson as somebody who could actually truly earn your vote in a primary based on how the primary, would he be in the running for your vote?
right now I would say yes, but I would want to see how he does at politicking outside of his own show. Because when you're in charge of writing everything and looking right into the camera, you got a lot of control over messaging. Can he do that in a different setting? I would want to see that.
Have you ever seen him be interviewed?
I think so, but it doesn't come to mind. Is he pretty good at it?
A Tucker Carlson interview is delightful because I would almost say that the prompter and his words confine him and put him in a position where he has to rely on brevity and hitting his marks because he has hard breaks that he has to hit. He was in an interview with, are these both from the Charlie Kirk interview I sent you?
No, the first one is from the Heritage event.
Oh, this is from a speech. Friday night. Last Friday night, Tucker Carlson.
The truth is contagious. Lying is, but the truth is as well. And the second you decide to tell the truth about something, you are filled with this, I don't want to get supernatural on you, but you are filled with this power from somewhere else. Try it. Tell the truth about something. You feel it every day. The more you tell the truth, the stronger you become. That's completely real. It's measurable in the way that you feel. And of course, the opposite is also true. The more you lie, the weaker and more terrified you become. We all know that feeling. You lie about something and all of a sudden you're a prisoner of that lie. You are diminished by it. You are weak and afraid. Drug and alcohol use is the same way. It makes you weak and afraid. But you look around and you see these people, and some of them really have paid a heavy price for telling the truth. And they are cast out of their groups, whatever those groups are, but they do it anyway.
Last Friday night, he was saying that at an event that was hosted by Heritage Foundation. This is what he said. I don't even know the date on this, but it was, according to Charlie Kirk, his last interview that he had with Tucker Carlson.
And so live as fully as you can, and you can't control all this stuff that's going on. You can't control what Google does. And honestly, they're going to win. Like, the powers that be will win, at least in the short term. Ultimately, they'll all blow up, but like, we're powerless and hated. I think this myself all the time. Are they going to crush me? Oh, yeah. Okay. But in the meantime, I want to experience my life as fully as I possibly can. And I think that starts with having like a ton of kids.
He knows what the stakes are. Tucker Carlson knows what the game is. There's an LA Times article that I read yesterday. Brad sent it to me, right? You sent me the LA Times one. And it says that the LA Times article insinuated that Rupert Murdoch put together the plan to get Tucker Carlson out. So that is a report that we have from somewhere else right now that suggests that Tucker Carlson was, I suppose, deemed a liability for the network, and they wanted to be done with him and moved on. Is that what you surmised from the article?
More or less.
So it certainly wasn't Tucker Carlson going, hey guys, I got some bad news for the network, good news for me, but I've got this opportunity in front of me. I want to run for president or whatever it might be. And we're going to have to figure out a way to make this work, but I'd love to maybe consider, I want to leave this in a positive. That's not what we understand it to be yet. But at the same time, if Fox News was coming to Tucker and pushing him to speak about something, to cover a story, to not cover a story, I don't know any of that to be true. You don't allow that. We're so pushed into our tribalistic ways, and this doesn't even have anything to do with Democrats. This is just us on our side of the aisle, and a few of you are looking in here, peeking in while we have this private conversation just between us on the right. There's nobody here on the left that's listening. It's just us on the right. The idea that what Fox News deems is best for their network, A, Fox News is a business. B, they're in the business of news. C, they're in the business of reacting to the news and analyzing the news. Those are all things that are true. It's completely plausible that where Tucker Carlson wanted to take his role in that did not fit with where Fox News felt like they could continue to be a successful business. And it is very possible that they could both be, in some way, shape, or form, right. That Tucker Carlson and where he wants to go and what he wants to be able to do, you just can't do that in the confines of a brand that is 24-hour news. And there are opportunities that exist right now for Tucker Carlson. This is where people are confused, in my opinion. Tucker Carlson will never be as big as Fox News. He could never be Fox News because I watch Fox News an awful lot. I do watch other things as well. As I was talking about, I watched multiple channels last night to see how they reacted to this. Tucker Carlson is a portion of Fox News. And previous to yesterday, Fox News incorporated the Tucker Carlson corner of the world. Fox News has said, we can't do this anymore, I suppose. And Tucker Carlson's going to have to go do his thing elsewhere. This allows Tucker Carlson, the fish in the aquarium tank that can grow with the size of the aquarium tank. Tucker Carlson, I don't know that he could have been bigger at Fox News than he was. Maximum space that he was taking up there. This puts him in an opportunity where Tucker Carlson can become bigger than ever in a moment in time where we need these voices that we can compare and contrast to our own thoughts and opinions on the issues so that we can formulate strong and wise positions going forward to make sure that we protect and save this country. Tucker Carlson, in my opinion, is an important part of that. In Fox News' business opinion, he no longer was. In my opinion, that doesn't mean that Fox News is worthless or is entirely wrong. It may mean that they calculated wrong and they may find that out down the line. Glenn Beck at Fox News, biggest thing they had, he was gone. What were we going to do next? Bill O'Reilly, biggest thing at Fox News, what's going to happen when he's gone? That's where we got Tucker Carlson from. And if you look through the Tucker Carlson history about where he has been and where he has come from, and you think to yourself, this kind of indicates where he's going to go in the future. He's tried a lot of things. He's succeeded at a lot of things. He's failed at some things. There's somebody saying on our chat here that he's been fired now from MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News. That must be some kind of MAGA trifecta or hat trick. The funny thing is that when he was at CNN and MSNBC, he was too watered down for conservatives. He wasn't read enough. And now he comes to Fox News and he has opinions that are not in the mainstream of what conservatives believe. But now people, for whatever reason, probably because he was in Fox News and in the right place at the right time for him, he becomes a thought leader again. Fox News, I think, will be able to fill that hole and eventually grow it to something successful there. But they're going to have to pay the price of letting that guy go. But I do believe, and this is good for us, if you're a Tucker Carlson fan, that what Tucker gets to do now, it gives him a bigger aquarium to swim in, which is why I'll repeat what I said yesterday. And I don't know if you guys agree with this as well. If he puts something out there and you can subscribe to it for him. Subscribe to it so that it becomes successful, because it's not just about paying Tucker. It's about paying whatever he creates so that he can have a staff. And if he has a staff, that means that he can reach a bigger audience. And if he has a bigger audience, then he has more subscriptions, then he can reach a bigger audience. I do think it's very important that we participate in financially supporting the things, the individual things in this new frontier of media that you really appreciate. If the Daily Wire is for you, then go support the Daily Wire. If, May is coming up. Our chocolate should be coming here soon.
It's going to be May.
Yeah. I always thought you reminded me of JT. I must have JTT because that's where I come from.
I get that a lot.
I do think that Tucker Carlson's future is very bright. And I kind of, even though I want to know exactly what he's going to do next, I kind of like him being quiet.
Mm-hmm. Is there a chance? Just like the question of, is there a chance he runs for president? Is there a chance he starts a competing network?
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
Not an online, I mean like a TV network.
Yes, with Elon Musk.
Doggone it, you guys are so ahead of me.
We played the Elon Musk sound. I think you were in the room.
I think I'm just taking it to the logical conclusion of where I thought it would go, and you've beat me there.
Well, great minds think alike, I guess, just in delay.
Great minds are fast.
Were you
slow minds are behind the
Were you in here when we
fact.
played the Elon Musk sound from their interview that just took place?
I don't think so.
So they're talking about like the value of truth. And Elon Musk in that interview was also talking about how Mark Zuckerberg invested so much money in the elections. He was playing in the elections in a really hardcore way. And Elon Musk was trying to make the point that, like, let's not pretend that Facebook is some sort of impartiality in the conversation here. But Elon Musk has said and continues to say, we need to be willing and encouraging for people to be able to speak up even if they're wrong. That is important.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about on Twitter within the last 24 hours, Elon Musk talked about putting together a system and a website where people could group rate media entities, media stories, and you could go there. And it's basically a Snopes, I suppose, but just that you would be able to apply a score to journalists and to media entities and outlets. Elon Musk is invested in unvarnished truth. And Elon Musk and Tucker are, in my opinion, the two biggest names in the game. And Elon Musk has money to play with and capital to use, potentially, to invest in something like this. And I'm sure he knows other wealthy people who probably have the same type of interests. You build networks around Tucker Carlson's. You don't build networks around people who are... I'm not saying it disparagingly so, but there are not really any. I don't think there's anyone else on Fox News you could build a network around. You clearly can't build a network around a Chris Cuomo because they've tried. I don't even remember News Nation.
News Nation.
Unless you wanted to do kind of a comedic angle on news and build it around Gutfeld, you could maybe pull that off. But
I think it would have to be on comedy and society, not news.
Yeah.
But that people keep saying is Gutfeld next. I don't think we have a strong understanding as to why Fox News decided to part ways with Tucker, or if Fox News said this is what we need to do and Tucker said I'm not doing it, and they said, well, we can't continue to work this way, which is what you would call a mutual parting of ways. I mean, if Tucker Carlson got fired, then that means he had no say in anything. If Rupert Murdoch or Fox News or freaking Paul Ryan's name's always like, he's just always there ready to go. Where is he hiding?
I don't know.
He's in the closet in the other room just waiting.
He's there. You can see his eyes.
Yes.
That's it.
And his dark hair. I could totally see a scenario where they say, Tucker, the only way this works in the future is if you agree to this, this, and this, or don't talk about Ray Epps anymore, or I don't know. I don't know that was said. Maybe it's a possibility. And Tucker said, over my dead body. And they said, we can't continue with you doing XYZ. You have to do ABC. And he said, no. So in that, maybe it's you can't fire me because I quit.
Maybe. It's interesting, though, because when we did the Kill Meat event in person in December with him here in St. Louis.
Kill Meat, not Tucker.
The Kill Meat event. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. When we did that event, somebody asked him at that event in person, and we actually played back that whole event on New Year's Day, if you ever want to go podcast it, I guess. Somebody asked him how Fox interferes with their news gathering.
Not at all.
He said unequivocally, and that's a chance where you just say, you know what, that's kind of an area where I don't really talk about, if you wanted to back out of the question. He didn't. He said there are different silos, just like here, like we're the Annie Frey Show team, the Mark Cox Show team, the Mark Reardon team. Just like at here, Fox has those teams. He said every team that I know of, we all would say the same thing. They do not interfere with our news and our messaging, which I thought was a very bold thing for him to come out and say. So if that's the case with Tucker, I really do want to hear that. And Tucker's probably going to be the one to have to say it.
Well, he's going to be just like Chris Rock, who got to wait an entire year to speak on the slap. Because everybody wants to know. And everybody will always want to know. There will always be a market for Tucker, what happened? We want your side, because the network isn't going to talk about it. The network needs you to forget Tucker existed as quickly as possible. And for many people, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for me. There are people who still follow Bill O'Reilly. If you look at what Megyn Kelly is doing right now, she is her own person. She is her own entity. She got picked up to do a Sirius radio show. And by Sirius, I don't mean like Super Stern. I mean like the other thing.
The Constellation.
And it's been successful for her. Which is why I say keep your eyes on that. I think there are some parties involved. I think Elon Musk is one of them. Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson are now both available. I think that you could build a network around both of those individuals.
Oh, for sure.
And then you pull in some sort of brand like an Outkick or Daily Wire or something that already has the foundation set up for media, and then you have a new network. And I mean, we are on a Fox News radio station. That doesn't mean that like people at Fox know who I am. I don't have conversations with them. They don't provide me with anything. We ask them to have guests on a regular basis. And I've said this before and we'll say it again, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I have never, ever, ever had anybody tell me what I do have to say or cannot say on this show. Nor does anybody outside of our cast here, the four of us, really even suggest things that we should cover. It's kind of on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even know what we're doing on a given basis.
No,
so
they don't
have no
babysit
idea.
it. They don't supervise it. They don't pull back. Every once in a while, we might have an instance where we'll listen back to the show. And outside of our responsibility of putting on a good quality show, the question is, was it entertaining?
Yeah,
And
we're constantly crafting.
Yeah.
But we're never like going to the management and saying, can we talk about this or not?
Yeah. It is it's going to be very interesting. And I think it's probably going to be at least 6 months before we find out. But maybe we'll find out tomorrow since I said that out loud. Let's take a quick break. More Any Frey Show when we come back. Have you voted in the YouTube live chat poll yet? Please do. Can Joe Biden win a second term? Yes or no? We want your feedback as well. Hannah is looking for your comments. And we'll feature some of them when we wrap up the show in about 20 minutes. Or, 30 minutes, I guess. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Girl, you got the beat right, killing in your Levi's, high on your love has got me buzzing like a street light. It's still early out in Cali, baby, don't you wanna rally again? Find a road with no name, lay back in the slow lanes, gotta drop it.
Saving money at Ruler Foods is as easy as shopping at Ruler Foods. You get your cart, you go through the store. It's laid out very conveniently for you to easily shop if you've never been there before. And once you've gone one time, you're like, this makes total sense. It's clean, it's organized, and the prices cannot be beat. Ruler Foods, you've got one near you. Look it up at rulerfoods.com. Maybe it's near your home, maybe it's near your church or your place of business. When you are shopping there, you don't have to clip coupons to save money. You just save. And it's on the same name brands you're buying everywhere else. And if you didn't know this, Ruler Foods is Kroger Foods at Ruler Foods prices. So saving money is simple. It's easy and it's obvious. They have fresh veggies, fruits, and savings to boot at Ruler Foods every time you go there. A really wonderful selection. And like right now, Heritage Farm boneless, skinless chicken breast, $1.99 a pound. Red or white seedless grapes, $1.27 a pound. Kroger potato chips, 4 for $5. Pepsi or Mountain Dew 24 packs, $9.99. Save on your grocery bill with Ruler Foods. Please do me the favor of just stopping by and checking it out for yourself. And let me know how your experience was saving all of that money. Go to rulerfoods.com.
Cardinals fans, baseball is back.
Down the line, does it stay fair? You bet, it's a slammer.
Catch every pitch from every St. Louis Cardinals game live with News Radio 1120 KMOX on the free Odyssey app.
That's gone. Dylan Carlson.
The voices you know, the team you love.
It is a goner for Arenado.
Your St. Louis Cardinals, your Odyssey. Download the free Odyssey app today.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Mark Cox here. Have you noticed that for sale signs in your neighborhood have been up longer than normal? Why? They don't have my good friend and trusted realtor Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. That's why I only recommend you call Gloria Liu. I've been telling you about her for years now. Call Gloria before you list your home. Gloria has the buyers with over 2,400 exclusive buyers in her database looking for a home in your neighborhood. Gloria sells twice as fast and for 5% more money on average when compared with other agents. With Gloria, you sell faster and for more money. She'll guarantee up front in writing to sell your home at your price and your time frame, or she'll buy it herself. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and the seller must agree on price and possession date.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
There are many ways to listen. Most choose radio. But have you tried streaming? Download the Odyssey app and you can stream 97.1 with one touch. Or try it touchless by telling your smart speaker to play it. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Describe your perfect date.
A tough one. I'd have to say April 25th, because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
Is she wrong?
No, that's exactly right. She nailed that question.
It is 67 degrees and partly sunny. That's pretty close to your perfect temperatures. Would you say 72 and 73?
Mm-hmm. I said 71.
So 71, 72.
Yeah. But I said 71 because if it peaks at 71, then you get lots of temperatures right here in the mid to upper 60s.
And it appears as though you're wearing a light jacket.
Exactly.
I said 86.
I don't love that.
I stand by it. Just warm enough so you get a little bit of sweat going. Man.
But too warm, not warm enough that you're really getting in the pool. I mean, I guess you can, but to me, being in the 90s is when you really love the pool.
86 is plenty warm to get into a pool.
For sure.
It has to be sustained at 86. Can't be just one day.
You are pretty high maintenance.
Yeah,
there.
I am
and
with the temperature.
I say this as someone who only gets the heated pool, so.
Oh, really?
I don't know why as a kid, it's like the first time the pool is uncovered and you're like, yeah, I'm going to jump it in. The pool's 62 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
That is a certain level of cold.
Mm-hmm.
It could be colder than that.
Yeah.
You don't really get used to it either.
You know what else I've realized? That having a hot tub and a pool next to each other is not a great combination because you're always going to want to go in the hot tub. And then once you're in the hot tub, you never want to go back in the pool.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, it's not.
It's 100% true.
No,
I'm right.
It's literally at my parents' house, they have the hot tub and the pool. And especially in the end of summer where it maybe starts to get a little cooler at night. You're swimming in the pool all day. You go in the hot tub, and then you're in the hot tub, and you're like, oh my gosh, it is so hot out here. There is nothing that feels better than jumping in the pool. You've never sat in a hot tub to the point where you're like, I got to get out of here.
No.
How
never.
hot is the hot tub?
I guess it's not hot enough because it's usually at a hotel, which is already kind of gross.
People soup.
Oh.
I usually cut up carrots and onions when I'm in it.
Gross.
Quick Rick says it's 84 at Disney World right now.
So, is it? We wouldn't know.
What about you? Hot tub, pool, hot tub?
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah, but private.
Do you have, with your heart condition, do you have to worry about being in hot tubs?
Hot tubs, no. Cold stuff, yes.
Cold, yes.
Yeah, because that causes the arteries and whatnot to constrict, and that makes it harder for your heart to pump.
So Brad has had, if you're new here, 3 heart attacks. Correct?
I'm a pro at it.
Don't say that. You're 39?
39, yep.
And when was your last heart attack? What year?
2020. September of 2020.
Recently.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, from your first heart attack, you've lost how much weight?
110 was my lowest.
That's amazing. How much do you have to alter the way you live your life right now?
Oh, gosh.
Not to your absolute least healthy nature, but I mean, you had your first heart attack in what year?
That would have been, I don't know. I don't remember the year. 2015, 2014, something like that.
You were pretty healthy in 2020 when you had.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
Do you know what triggered it?
Yes. So they're all related to the first one. The first one was a blockage. The second one was a blood clot that got opened up, that got stuck in the opening when the blockage opened up for doing the right things. They put a stent in that one. The third one was because the stent got scar tissue and calcified and blocked the opening again.
So how much of your life right now do you have, how much of your thought process is based on, I got to do what's right for my heart?
At this point, it's almost habitual, so I don't have to think about it too much anymore, but there's no aspect of my life that it didn't change.
I know you talk about your, red meat that you, or not red meat, what is it?
Fried meat.
Fatty meat.
Fatty meat, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't eat like brisket is good, but I can't eat like pork because it's too fatty, and I can't get anything that's deep fried, and it's just stuff like that. Sausages and stuff like that. I used to love bratwurst. Bratwurst are my favorite. I can't have those anymore.
Can you never have them? Or if there was one in the midst of healthy eating, it wouldn't be a big deal?
I don't allow myself that.
You don't want to know what you're missing.
I convince myself that I can never have it again. And then whenever I have one, I'm like, okay, then I can never have it again.
Yeah.
Because if I say, oh, one won't hurt, that opens the door and it just lets it, makes it easier to have more than just one.
What do you think about the way society right now is I'm okay, you're okay, we're all okay? Does that bother you to see that happening?
Yeah, telling people they're okay when they're very clearly not is not loving. It's not helpful. It's not good. And it bothers me because, man, I'll share this story. I was working at a school, and there was a lady that I worked with who was struggling with her weight and stuff like that. And they, this is right after I had my first heart attack, and they were talking to me about it. And I encouraged her. I said, no, this is something you can do. You can do it. And she's like, yeah, but it really doesn't matter because the doctor says that I'm all good and, I don't have anything to do with that. She was 2 years older than me. I heard maybe 3 years after I left that job that she had a heart attack and passed away. And it's just like telling people what they want to do so that they feel good isn't what's good for them. You need to encourage them to do what's good for them. And sometimes what's good for them doesn't feel good at the time that you're doing it.
I mean, it's trendy even in marketing. It's not even just socially between two friends, like, oh, should I say something? Should I not say something? And we're not talking just about eating. It could be about
anything,
any type of lifestyle choices or, habits or addictions that people could have that sometimes you need someone who can tell that it's affecting you outside to be like, you might think you're hiding this, but you're not hiding this. I see this and it's hurting you and I love you and I care about you and I want to talk to you about this and I want you to know you can talk to me about this. That it is a very trendy marketing and advertising move right now to go fly right in the face of that because of the emotions that are at the heart of all of that.
Yeah, you can gain a lot of goodwill by tickling the ears of people, by telling them what they want to hear. You say marketing, I see it in marketing. I see it just in people in every day. I see it in churches. They tell people what they want to hear, and then everybody's like, oh, yeah, we're happy. And then at the end of the day, maybe we're not going toward a great destination for those people. Maybe we're actually setting them up for failure. We're setting them up for heartache, both figuratively and literally. You're creating something that is not a good end for them.
I think about these types of things when I listen to the president say these words.
Rebecca put a teacher's creed into words when she said, there's no such thing as someone else's child. No such thing as someone else's child. Our nation's children are all our children.
The idea that it takes a village to raise a child has to be rooted in the idea that you get to pick your village. It doesn't choose you. Big difference. I couldn't have 4 kids if I weren't constantly leaning on the help of people who I have brought into my life, or like my parents and my husband's parents, who help us raise those kids.
Yeah, it takes a village is not a bad concept because you can't do things alone. You just can't do it. But you do have to pick who you're allowing into that circle. And it used to be when that phrase was common, it's because we had a shared ethic in this country that maybe we didn't all agree 100%, but on the main stuff we did. And so if you let your kids run around in the yard and with the neighbors, even if you didn't know the neighbors that well, you could trust for the most part that the group of neighbors that you had around were going to generally watch out for you. And that just isn't the case anymore because our values are so different than our neighbors.
I think about my husband as a teacher. Ryan, your wife's a teacher. Brad, your wife's a teacher. And we hear stories that would be inappropriate for us to just repeat on the air here about experiences that they have. But we know that there are kids that have no village.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is a massive dose of perspective to hear those stories. And I think about those kids when, I hear Joe Biden talking about the guy who's been funded by teachers' unions, talk about our nation's kids. And they're not anybody's individual kids. They're our kids. And I just don't trust him with those words. I do know that my husband, because he was somebody who is put in a position to see kids, and he has, over the course of his career, worked with educators who have high expectations for the performance of the class, and if you're not performing high, then you're bringing everybody down, and they don't care about the kids that are left behind. And then you hear stories over the years of kids who have a parent who's in prison, parents who are dead, staying with a new caregiver every other month. Kids who, you notice, come to school in the same set of clothes quite frequently, and they're not clean. I mean, these are kids who don't have villages. And it does take good people in positions to reach out and see those kids to be a part of a village that isn't established. When Joe Biden talks about that, and he's articulating some sort of federal obligation we have to our nation's assets of our children, I can't stress enough how anti-American that feels to me. Because the foundation that I want to raise my kids on, bottom line, in my house and in my husband's house, is Jesus. That's it. That's everything comes after that for our children. And that might be completely different than somebody else's kids. So don't come tell me that they're our kids, because like you said, those common values are not the same. And I respect other people's homes and dedicated parents who aren't Christians enough to say, well, in our house, this is what our foundation is. And in America, that religious, not freedom from religion, but religious freedom is paramount to the whole point of coming over to the colonies, which were pretty much established based on religious leaning. Like, here we're going to do this and here we're going to do that. That needs to be upheld and championed and valued. And instead, because what I'm describing is diversity.
Mm-hmm.
You hand that over to the president, you hand that over to the teachers union, children become assets and resources that we use to provide ourselves with other things on a federal level or on a government level instead of using what assets we have to provide for those kids. We don't think about it that way. And when we were talking earlier about in Wiggins America, if you didn't listen to it, he was talking about legislation that is in play, bipartisan legislation that's in play to provide some regulation for social media. And my response to that is I need more details before I could say yay or nay. We got a message to the show and it said, no government regulation on the internet. The focus needs to be on kids or parents, and they need to be able to choose what's right for their kids. You still have to take into account, like you said.
Mm-hmm. You can't legislate heart change.
And if there are kids out there that don't have parents who give a damn about what they're doing on social media, does the social media business have any burden to bear for what is permitted on those platforms? I think that they do. If kids can access them, I think that they do. Which is why when I look at something like that, it's not legislating parenting and saying a parent, you're not allowed to as a parent do this, that, and the other thing. I think we need to say that if a platform is accessible to young children, I mean, good grief, I don't want to say this and like tip people off who don't know, but you can see a lot of things on, I'm not even going to say specifics, social media out. Like you could be on a platform that seems completely innocuous and fine and access the filthiest of filthy things. And I don't know if that's good.
I would say, unfortunately, we do, and it is bipartisan, this, at least the idea of censoring or keeping kids out of social media until a certain age is bipartisan. And we are, unfortunately, in a position to have to do that because it is ideal that the parents are doing it, but they're not. So many are not. And so you almost want to come together to support the kids that are not.
I would also say maybe the position of government needs to be to reinvest in families by stop burdening them with so many taxes that are paying for programs that don't help people.
That would be great.
Just let me take care of me. All right, quick break. Hannah's going to come in studio with us and talk to us about the YouTube live chat poll. You got to get your vote in. Hurry, go. The time is now. Can Joe Biden win a second term? Yes or no? He's announced that he is running again. We need to know what you think. Can he win it? We'll find out the response when we come back.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
C.A. Jones is a proud supporter of military, of first responders, and they put their money where their mouth is. They offer veterans, active, and first responders specials on new homes, solar, and remodels. If you're building on the Illinois side of the river, they work with a lot of people that are from the base that are setting their roots down here because they like the area. C.A. Jones is building beautiful homes of all shapes and sizes for people exactly like that. And like I said, they offer specials for those who have served, and we are grateful for them as well. I want you to understand how dedicated and forward-thinking C.A. Jones is towards energy efficiency. When they build your home, they're thinking about those bills that are going to come in year after year, month after month, and they have an Energy Star certified home builder acknowledgement. They also provide many options of buildable plans with modern features at an affordable cost right there on their website. You can design your own home through their Design Your Home tool when you visit cajonesinc.com. Reach out to C.A. Jones. You can call them or you can get on the website and just kind of look around and see even the brand new build homes that are available for purchase right now. Go to cajonesinc.com.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Adam, man, your aunt parties are the best. I mean, you always find the best kitchens with all the crumbs.
Thanks, man. I love finding these homes to do this at.
Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service offers insulation services. Did you know 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated? Increase your energy savings and comfort with better insulation. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Brad Young in for Mark Reardon. And coming up on the Mark Reardon Show, we've got State Senator Denny Hoskins on the stalled gambling legislation in Jeff City.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
And although that's pain in my chest, I still wish you the best. Forget you. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't afford a Ferrari, but that don't mean I can't get you there.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Appreciate you spending some of your afternoon with us. It's April 25th, which is the best date, as we established before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not too hot, not too cold.
Yeah.
Just nice enough for a light jacket.
YouTube live chat poll, Hannah?
YouTube live chat poll. Let's get to some comments first. Long Jago from our YouTube page says, I said yes because he can win. Wait, let's back up. First, let's get to the YouTube poll, what it is. Can Joe Biden win a second term, yes or no? Long Jago says, I said yes because he, quote, can win. Not sure if he will live long enough to, though. Barry says Joe can win if Trump is the Republican nominee. The vote would not be for Biden, but against Trump again. Grant from YouTube says Joe can win because the left is ruthless. Brian Flowers says I voted no unless Trump is on the ballot.
Interesting.
That's what a lot. And, you know, the comment about Biden not making it that long, we had a lot of comments like that. I mean, he is old.
You said this earlier in the show that the only way that Trump could win is if he's running against Biden. And the only way Biden could win is if he's running against Trump. Mm-hmm. And there is a lot of truth in that. That if it were a different candidate for either party, they probably would be a shoo-in.
But it would be uncomfortable to watch Nikki Haley and Joe Biden. It would be uncomfortable to watch DeSantis and Joe Biden. It would be uncomfortable and wonderful to watch Tim Scott and Joe Biden. You watch Trump and Joe Biden, you're like, we've seen this before. Joe Biden's going to look like a frail old
Even
man.
more so.
But Donald Trump's going to look like a meanie. So they're going to.
I wonder if he'll learn his lesson in the debates.
Listen,
anyway.
if it's not Donald Trump, there's no way they put Joe Biden on a debate stage with anybody else. There's no way.
Well, they're not putting him on a debate stage with anybody else. Literally, they're canceling all the primary debates.
Sheepdog says, I voted yes, of course he can, because the Democratic machine is connected a way to get him elected the first time. They have a year and a half to figure out another scam. Dirk says, I voted yes in the poll. People voted him in once. They're silly enough to vote him in again. Silly is a nice word. We had some other words that were not very nice.
Silly bear.
Amy Mesera says that he will win. They've already got the election figured out. You want to get to some results?
Yeah.
The results are. Anna, do you have anything to say for yourself?
The poll is asking, can Joe Biden win a second term, yes or no, with over 215 votes. 60% of the people said no, Joe Biden can't win a second term. 40% of the people said that he can win a second term.
Well, I'm glad I asked this question because I thought it would be a landslide
Me
yes.
too.
I did too, and it was actually pretty clearly a no.
Yeah, 60% of the people said no, Joe Biden can't win a second term. That is really
the key
surprising.
word in that poll is can.
Yeah.
Because I'm surprised that many people would say no, he cannot. Because I don't know that he's likely to win because I still don't know who the other candidate's going to be. I mean, we don't know for sure it'll be Biden either, but it certainly looks like it will, especially after he announced. But the word can in there almost always to me says, well, yes, that can happen. So I voted yes.
That's why I'm a yes, is because it's possibility. And like Annie was saying, if it's Trump and Biden, there's a distinct possibility. So, yeah.
Right now, who wins, Ryan, Trump or Biden?
I'll say Trump.
Biden.
Biden.
I think Biden wins.
There's so many questions about with Trump versus DeSantis. Would Trump voters turn out for DeSantis? Will DeSantis voters turn out for Trump? That's a huge question that I do not know the answer to.
DeSantis voters will absolutely turn out for Trump.
Would the opposite be true?
I don't know that Trump voters will turn out for DeSantis, but also there are a lot of being a DeSantis voter who will turn out for Trump is not, none of those scenarios encapsulate the people who are sick and tired of this bullcrap way that this country is going, who may not have been a Trump voter or a DeSantis voter, but they know that the direction that's going is different. And DeSantis's ability to cast that wide net is massively larger than Donald Trump's. And I think Tim Scott's is as well. Once he gets in there, maybe Nikki Haley's, I don't know. But I don't know. I know. Well, we only have 560 days to find out. Stick around, the Mark Reardon Show with Mike Elam coming up on 97.1 FM Talk in just a minute.
Thinking of selling your house, but you don't want to deal with repairs, cleaning, realtors, photos, and showings?